Alright, I'm excited to start. The life and suffering of me. Alright, let's do it. Oh, other characters will address you exactly like this. Okay. Well, sir, I guess I was gonna name myself something. Sir, Duncan. It's a good name. Sir Duncan Brante. You'll be able to rewind the beginning of any chapter if you completed. I guess I kind of want that. Consequences open. See the consequences of your possible choices in advance. Discover the results only after you've taken it. Well, that kind of sounds more fun, but this is the recommended mode, so well, I guess we'll play it that way and we'll see. That way we can get a good sense of how the game works. You hold the fate of a single man in your hand. You will follow his life from birth to death. Your choices shall define Sir Brante. I should decide how that's pronounced. Will grow up to be. You will decide his personality, social status, and what mark he will leave on history. With every step he takes at your behest, Sir Brante's character will change and evolve. Your decisions will close some doors for him, but open many others. Okay, I'm down. The world of Sir Brante's birth is a ruthless realm where people are divided into estates. It is hard to be a hero here. Be ready to accept that Sir Brante cannot overcome every challenge in his path. Every hard choice will test his character and personal qualities. Often you will not be able to make the choice you would like to. Now, thanks for that warning, game. It may happen because you chose a different road earlier, exhausted your hero's willpower, or haven't earned the right position in society. Every victory will be a struggle, a path paved with bitter losses and gut-wrenching failures. Accept the tragedy. This is how you will create a gripping and unique tale for your hero. What will become of your Sir Brante, his loved ones, and his world? It all depends on you. Alright.
The story of my life remains written on these pages. But my fate has always been my own. Every deed, every choice, every person I met made me what I am. Could I have taken a different path? Could I have found a different calling? Altered the very course of history? And what price would I have to pay?
Life and suffering of Sir Brante in times of the fall of the blessed. Didn't start reading in time. I guess that was the title on the title screen. I didn't read it fully. At the end of time, your fingers are stained with ink, your breathing grows ragged, your hands are shaking, yet the words begin appearing on the page before you one by one, clinging together to form a chronicle of your own life. Who are you, and how did you reach this end? You were born and raised and lived your entire life in the blessed Arcnean Empire. Boom, that's what we're going with. Arcnean. In this land, a man's destiny is predetermined at the moment of his birth. Whether human or Arcnean, a noble priest or low-born commoner, all bend to the divine will of the twin gods. So wait, there's humans and a different race, I guess. Okay, cool. Each life is not but a single cog in the universe's immeasurable machine. The wheel weaves as the wheel wills. The memories come flooding back. They engulf you as a merciless wave, binding together days that are thrice dead and gone. The dreams of your childhood, your adolescence, your youth spent in the capital, years of peace teeming with life, and a war drenched in blood. High ranks and lowly deeds, opulent places, secretive city backstreets, fields of battle, and faces, so many faces of the people that you hold dear, the people who walked this road by your side. Such was your life, now all exposed by ink erupting onto the page. With your every step you sought to change the world as you saw fit. The choices of your upbringing, the path you carved in your youth, the fruits of your struggle, the consequences of your sacrifice, all of it led you here, to the end of your time, and every choice has a price. Now, years and years later, the crossroads of your life echo in your memory, the pain and joy, inexorably intermingled. Could you have taken a different path? Chosen a different calling? Found a different place in the world? You had the power to alter the very course of history. Now, on the verge of death, you struggle with doubt, seeking answers to the last and most crucial question of all. Your life, of all the paths in life, why did you walk this one? Did you choose your own fate, or was your life shaped by forces beyond your control? What determines a man's destiny? A man himself, the world around him, a higher power, or there is no destiny? Ooh, fascinating. I'm just torn between this sort of like deterministic answer and this like sort of rejection of determinism. Just want to make sure I turn my phone off so don't forget it was. Well, it's on silent. And then, or this like, yeah. I'm gonna go with the world around him. If I had been asked that without a multiple choice question, I think that's what I would have gone with if I was being perfectly honest. Your final hours in this world are upon you. You close your eyes. In your mind's eye, you see them once more. The faces of your family, your friends, your foes, your underlings, your rulers. One after another, you recall the events that changed you forever. Okay? And in that moment, you know the truth. You are part of this world. You are its flesh and blood. Your family, your hometown, your empire, they all made you what you are. Your destiny was the sum total of your upbringings, your social status, other people's choices, and the age in which you lived. But are you right about this? Is it all true? To learn the truth, you'll have to return to the very beginning, remembering every step you took along the way. On these pages, the story of a man named Duncan Brante will live once more. Excellent. 0 years. Excellent. You did tell me I would start at the very beginning, so. Am I waiting or am I clicking? Okay, I'm clicking. Childhood, where life begins. Arguably, like, you know, being a baby isn't really like childhood. I'm getting pedantic about that. First words, first unsteady steps. You are but a small child learning about the world in which you are born. To you, everything is so new, so baffling, and so unforgiving. A long, trying life stretches before you, so many feats and faults, and so many fateful choices to come. Yet you are already sowing the seeds of your future self. You are learning to live and survive in this world, looking for a place within it to call your own, choosing your future destiny. Who will you grow up to be? Okay. Ooh. In chapters Childhood, Adolescence, and Youth, you will live through the hero's coming of age. You will shape the protagonist's personality, his qualities, and relationships. By the end of the prologue, you will determine the estate and future occupation of your hero. Only in adulthood will he start to influence the world around him, and even the ultimate fate of the Empire. Who will Duncan Brante grow up to be? It's your call. Alright. Thanks, game. Childhood, where life begins. Okay, we already read that. Events in the personal life of the hero that can happen in this chapter. The fencing lesson. You suffer your first death and rebirth. Okay. An insight where your mother tells you about the ways of the world and the lots of its inhabitants, and a noble sacrifice. Wow. Okay. Your personal... At this age, they determine what choices you may take. So, 0 determination. Okay. I guess everything starts at 0. Untouched by death. Okay. The sections that open in this chapter. Destiny screen is now available. Personality is now available. Okay. If I click these... Whoa. Okay, yeah, it shows me the thing. Okay. And then this was the stats we looked at. Yes. Excellent. And... Aha. Tarnished honor. Okay, so this is... Stephen Brante. He's my brother. Okay. Robert Bronte's son... Wait. Robert Bronte's son from his first marriage and a noble by birth. From a young age... Oh, yeah, okay. Robert is, I guess, my dad. I'm Duncan. Remember the name you chose. From a young age, he has been striving to be first in all things and demonstrate his superiority to the family. Jeez, okay. Ah, yeah, see? Robert Bronte, my father. Don't have a little picture, that's fair. Ex-wife who had the brother, and then current wife. So is that why I'm the heir, or because I'm with the current marriage? Or is he's the heir? Actually, no. I thought this was my heir. Duh, no, this is the heir to the family, because he's the firstborn, right? That makes sense. Game of Thrones rules. Alright, begin chapter. Let's do it. Oh, there we go. We got an achievement just for beginning the game. At first there was nothing. No time. No sensation. Nothing but darkness and void. And then a will breathed life into nothingness. Matter and spirit were set into motion. History began its march. It was your turn to enter this world. Your first memory, you were lying on your back, blinded by a bright white light. You are not alone. Above you tower the colossal figures of those who created you. You are part of them, and they are part of you. Between you and them is an inexorable connection, a strong, unbreakable link. They will always watch over you, guard you, and protect you. It hurts to breathe. You let out the pain in the form of a desperate scream. Your creators extend their hands toward you. There are two of them, the ones who made your form from their own selves and brought you into this world. They are united, yet as they lean closer, you begin to see how different they are. You can already feel their differences within you, struggling against each other. The first figure is soft and empathetic, wise and merciful. The love that emanates from it wraps you from head to toe like an invisible blanket. The warmth from it is never-ending. The second figure is strong and powerful, commanding and noble. It is harsh but fair, a beacon of guidance, a force of protection, and merciless punishment for every misdeed. Oh, okay, so I got some traditional parents here. Yet there is also a third figure. It is like a shadow barely seen behind them, yet already pulsing with an unbreakable will to live. It is the very will to live that is now growing ever stronger within you. A soft open palm, a strong closed fist, a lingering distant shadow. You struggle to loosen the swaddling clothes wrapped around you and extend a tiny hand into the world. Oh, okay. See that? Okay, I increase my perception, my determination, or my willpower. Interesting. Interesting indeed. I think I'm gonna, Yeah. Reach out to the fist, why not? The fist is stiff, coarse, and even unpleasant to the touch, but this firm hand belongs to your father. A tiny newborn, you are helpless before the full-grown man. Your little hand practically challenges him and his strength, and he accepts the challenge. Your father's fist opened, his hand strokes your little hand gently, if somewhat awkwardly. It is a tender gesture, a glimpse into something he will seldom let show in the years to come. Well, I'm glad we did it then. You know, if he's not going to be that sentimental all that often. Your life in the world begins. How will you live it? You know, you've asked me that like 3 times, game, but I'm excited to find out. All right. Now we're 1. All right. As the days go by, you learn to tell your parents apart. You recognize father by his heavy breath and strong, cold hands. He visits you rarely. Hello there, little Duncan Brante. Mother's tender voice, however, follows you day and night. My, you're growing so quickly, my child. There are 2 more children in the family, named Stephen and Gloria. Gloria sings songs to you. She often dresses you in tight clothing and gently holds your hand as you learn to take your first steps. Stephen likes to, or is it Stefan? I guess it's an A, isn't it? So Stefan? Stefan likes to sweep you up and pinch you and toss you in the air. Oh, look, this is your brother and sister. Yeah, you're my little brother. We're gonna play together, but I'll always be in charge, because you were born a commoner. Oh, a cheese. Be quiet, you. He doesn't understand yet. Come on, baby Duncan. Let's go play in the yard. I should have different woman voices instead of the same one. That's a little sexist. It's hot outside. It is hot outside. You grip your brother's hand with one hand and your sister's with another as they help you walk down the giant stone steps. Then you sit on the ground and start exploring the sparse blades of grass with your fingers. It tickles. In the sky far above and away from you is a gigantic pillar, a perfectly straight stick made of light. It's so bright it hurts to look at. Why are you staring at this? What did I don't know. I got fucking consistent character voices. Why are you staring at the shining pillar? It's not going anywhere, you know? Hey, I want to play hide and seek. My brother has a deep voice. He's a little boy. He's got a deep voice, though. He's just a little baby. How is he gonna play? I guess, so now it's slightly different than the mother, I guess. Then you hide them, and I'll try to find both of you. You have no idea what they're talking about, but you support them with happy cooing. This is strange, but so exciting. Stephen and Gloria glance at each other. Then your brother walks to a big tree, closes his eyes, and starts shouting something. Gloria takes your hand and walks you through the yard. Your sister takes you behind some thick bushes by a tall wall. The light from that light stack on the horizon barely reaches here. You can't see home from this place. The ground is crawling with tiny black bugs. Gloria sits you down on the ground and puts a finger to her mouth for some reason, and then she's gone. You can no longer hear Stefan's voice. Gloria is nowhere to be seen. You feel colder. The bugs are no fun to play with. You've been sitting here for a long time, completely alone. Nobody checks on you. Did they forget about you? Did they abandon you? Cry loudly. Find your way home. Or sit there and wait. Yeah, why not? Let's just sit there and wait. I don't know if it's good to stack a single stat, or if it's good to spread it out. Who knows? The bush is covered with leaves swaying in the wind. You brush through them with your fingers. The twigs and branches are stiff and will not bend. They are different from the blades of grass. Down on the ground you see a group of bugs carrying a tiny twig. You grab it from them. They're so funny. One of the bugs crawls on your fingers and bites it, just enough to sting a little bit. You hear brisk steps, then the leaves and twigs rustling and parting. Your mother leans over you. You greet her with a happy face and show her the finger with the bug on it. So that's where they took you. Mother picks you up and puts you to her chest and pats you on the head. Your brother and sister stand behind her, clearly feeling guilty. Gloria is in tears. Stefan keeps staring at his feet. You hug Mother tightly. She is here now. Okay. Another memory. You are still a little child, but you can already talk and run around on your own. Today is out of the ordinary. Father is busy around the house, giving orders to the servants. Throughout the day, the kitchen has been abuzz with work, and there are solemn, gloomy preparations and candles being lit. Even your older brother Stefan is quiet today. Mother takes your hand and brings you to your sister Gloria. My son, today is the great descent. We honor the day when the twin gods descended to us. We must spend this day in reverence to the gods. You are too young to understand, so just do everything your sister says for now. Gloria takes you to the playroom. There are no toys there, no chairs. Even the carpet has been taken away. There's nothing but a bare wooden floor. Today, we're not allowed to go to any other rooms, and we'll be eating nothing but gruel and stale bread. On the day of the Great Descent, everyone must be where they belong. It is quiet, unusually so. Muffled voices from beyond the door are all you can hear. You're sitting on the cold floor, confused with no idea what to do. Then you hear your sister's voice, a lonely sound in the empty room. It is a little song that Mother taught her. You hold your breath as you listen to it. When the twins come down to earth, they brought lots for every birth. Let us count them, 1, 2, 3. The twins made them for you and me. Don't make me keep making up a melody here. Oh god. Nobles rule and bravely fight. They protect us with their might. Priests work hard to understand. Guide us by the twins' command. Common people work and toil. Always patient, never spoiled. It's like reading some Tolkien here. Jeez. Live your lot where you were born, to the day when you pass on. Know your lot and know the prayer, for the twins see everywhere. Okay, well, that's a little disturbing, so you are transfixed by the tune. Gloria notices your gaze and a smile creeps across your face. Well, this is just getting creepy. You like the rhyme, don't you, Duncan? Do you know what it's all about? Look, there are 3 lots. They were brought to us by the twins when they descended to us from the shining pillar. Remember that pillar of light on the horizon? That's it. You can see the shining pillar anytime, from anywhere in the world. If you follow your lot as you live, you'll reach the peak of the pillar, and if you don't, you'll get eternal torment at the foot. Okay, we are getting some world-building stuff right now. How true is it, though? That's the question. You and I are low-born. Mom is a commoner, too, and so the lot for you and me is to suffer and be patient and work hard. Understand? The priests and the nobles have other lots. The nobles fight and rule over everybody. The priests, well, I'm not really sure what they do, but I guess they talk to the twins and then they teach everybody. Gloria stares at you intently. Did you get silly? Oh, did you get it, silly? Then she shakes her head and keeps singing the song over and over. Her voice transfixes you, drawing you in. The room starts to glow like the sky. From this light emerges 2 figures you have known ever since the moment of your birth. One of them embraces your sister's shoulder. The other stands guard behind her back. You watch this happening before your eyes, unable to turn away. I guess I'm having like a religious experience at like 2 years old here. Gloria is swaying to the song, unaware of what is happening. She sings the final verses once more. Know your lot and know the prayer. You feel compelled by this divine sight to express yourself somehow. You feel words condensing within you from the light. But what will these last words be? Wow. Ooh. Shout out words of your own or finish the song properly. Oh my goodness. What choices we have? What choices there are? Okay. I mean, I don't know. I said this was kind of creepy, and I kind of want to like break the spell, but then like like. So do I do the determination or do I do the increased perception? I don't know. Well, you know what? He'd probably just sing along, right? Like little kid. We'll role play it a little bit, and we'll let the kid finishes the song. Know your lot and know the prayer, for the twins see everywhere. You sing. Oh, we got a frightening musical piano sting. You sing the last line together with Gloria. Your sister looks up at you in surprise and gives you a nod. The shining pair standing behind her back turn to look at you. You can feel their gaze piercing you from top to bottom. When the moment passes, they melt into the dim light coming from the window. Gloria turns her head to look at where you were staring. Did you see something, Duncan? You shake your head. Not anymore. Okay. Alright. Okay. Alright. Things are happening. You're starting to understand more and more of what the adults say. Your family, is an unusual one. Your father is a nobleman, but not by birth. He is a title earned through great service. But your mother is a low-born woman, a commoner. Because of this, you were born a commoner. But father says you may yet come unto nobility. You learn to read at an early age. Together with mother, you read and learn by heart the many poems about the divine twins, the twin gods who reside upon the shining pillar. Mother calls these poems prayers. I almost read those words backwards. Again and again you try to discern the shapes of the gods in the strip of holy light that shines in the sky all night and day. The light is too blinding to gaze upon. The greatest joy of all is when the stairs are no longer an insurmountable obstacle. Now you can climb and even jump from step to step. Father urges you to be more careful and avoid climbing too high. But even though you keep falling, you never stop being curious about the world around you. Your older brother Stefan now spends less and less time playing with Gloria and you. Playing with commoners is beneath a nobleman to be, he says. So Gloria calls him names and Stefan pulls her pigtails. Maybe I'm going to give Stefan a new voice. One fine evening, Father gathers you all into the sitting room with an announcement. You will have another little brother or sister soon. Gloria asks him to bring home a little sister. Another brother would be too much. Stefan gets frustrated. There are too many little siblings getting in his way as it is. Soon you will be an older brother too, and it doesn't really matter who the youngest will be, a boy or a girl, you will love them the most. When Father comes back from his trips, he reads his adult books aloud for you. You find those stories of wars, generals, and rebellions quite enchanting, and Father approves of your fascination. Study hard. I see, I'm gonna give him the gruff voice, right? Like, I gotta give him, like, study hard, and maybe one day you'll be a nobleman of the mantle and earn your sword. But first, you need to grow up. That's a little bit better, right? It's a little bit different. Growing up, the concept is as terrifying as it is alluring. Oh, that one hit a little hard. You keep staring at the carpet under your feet. You are both ashamed and proud, and it feels odd. A scratch on your hand stings a little. Stefan is standing next to you, sniffling from pain. Your brother was training in the yard with a wooden sword. You wanted to play with him, but he ended up getting angry and throwing the sword at you. The stick hit you in the shoulder. You picked it up and hit him with it. Yeah. Not an unreasonable course of action. I mean, obviously, you know, as a parent now you got to deal with you too. But you see the mother's shoes walking to your mother's shoes. Oh no, just mother's. You see mother's shoes walking to and fro on the carpet. You do not want to look up. You would rather not see her angry. She's not as gentle to you these days. Why did you hurt Stefan, Duncan? You stammer out an explanation. He hit you first. You just hit him back. How dare you pester me like that? When I grow up, I'm gonna hit you with a real sword. There, how about that one? I like that character voice. Mother shushes you both and speaks to you again. Her voice is stern, and yet you can still feel her concern for you. Even if Stefan hits you, you cannot hit him back. You are my son, and I was born a commoner. Our lot is to suffer, but your brother was born from a noble father and a noble mother. His sacrament is coming soon, and then he'll rule over the likes of us. If you hurt a noble, you must be punished. That is your lot, and the sooner you learn it, the better off our entire family will be. Whew. Now, Stefan looks at you in triumph. You look up at Mother in fear, not sure what to do. Oh, that costs willpower, I guess. It increases deny your guilt. Didn't I increase determination last time, or... Oh yeah, increased perception by demanding an explanation. I think I'm gonna do that. Tell me why it is like this, Mother. You start asking questions. Why were you born a commoner if your father is a noble? If you have your father's name, why can't you have his lot? And why can't you choose a lot for yourself if you don't like the one you have? Mother is stunned by all the questions you are peppering her with. Don't you dare ask me about that, Duncan. I'll violate my lot if I start explaining it all to you. I'm a commoner, not a priest. Well, this is, this world is, just getting... We're just learning more and more about it. You are flogged in front of your entire family. The pain burns on your skin again and again. Tears keep rolling down your cheeks. It feels like the punishment will never end. It hurts to walk when you are finally let go. You slowly climb the stairs and walk to your room. You see a book on your bed. The Teachings of Isaiatus, Volume 2. Your tears have dried now. You begin to read, slowly making your way through the difficult words. Every death of the body bringeth the soul ever closer to the twins' judgment. And when the body dieth the true death, the soul soareth to the shining pillar. The twin gods do judge every soul, and their judgment is stern and unforgiving. He who followeth his lot in life from birth shall melt in bliss atop the peak of the shining pillar. The words confuse and elude you, instilling fear and awe. You will read this mysterious book again and again as you grow up. Okay. Mother mostly stays in her chambers now. With each passing day, she grows heavier and her features get rounder. It gets difficult for her to walk, but she still smiles all the time. One day she takes your hand and puts them on her big belly, and you feel a movement deep inside her. You'll have another brother or sister soon. Gloria takes you on walks to the yard now. You explore the yard together under the evening light of the pillar, and she sings you songs and tells you amazing stories. Hey, Duncan, do you want to hear a rhyme? I wrote it myself. There's even a bit about you. But don't tell anyone, okay? Writing poems and songs is only for nobles. If Mommy hears it, I'll get flogged. Remember how you got flogged? For hitting Stefan? Our judge is my second father. In the past I had another. Got a rhyme with father? Yeah. Mother says the twins are great. Says we should not fight our fate. Brother loves to jump around. Please don't fall down to the ground. So I wrote a little rhyme. Please don't tell them it is mine. But today, your sister is nowhere to be seen. She promised to take you to the old pond and show you the red frogs that live there. Then she vanished. The servants join you in your search. Even Mother leaves her chambers when she hears the commotion. Finally, you find Gloria in the far corner of the garden. She's holding a quill and sheets of paper, covered in poetry. Mother becomes angry the moment she sees it. She looks through the poetry and her face grows dark with rage. Gloria is standing before her, wringing her hands and looking for an opportunity to run, but there seems to be no escape. What is this nonsense, Gloria? We talked about this. You were told to take care of your little brother. You are absolutely not allowed to entertain yourself with this writing. I can decide that for myself, Mom. No, you cannot. It has already been decided by the gods. And he's not a little brother anymore. He doesn't need a nanny, and I need some time alone to think for myself. I'm not hurting anyone. You are a commoner and a future wife. It's time you learned how to properly care for children. Had your disgraced former father kept me in his house, you could have been born a noble. But that is not our fate, and you are absolutely forbidden from ever spoiling paper and wasting ink again. Oof. Mother grabs Gloria firmly by the hand and takes you both to the house. The scribbling sheets fly into the fireplace. Gloria sobs violently. You are a bystander to this scene, unsure of how to act. Conditions not met. I don't have a high enough determination to complain about my sister. But I do have high enough perception to offer to write rhymes with her. Or I could increase my relationship at the cost of a willpower. Interesting. Well, you know what? I earned the 2 perception. Oh, it's at 3 now. Jeez. I'm just gonna be this perceptiest boy ever. Yeah, let's offer to leave. Oh, and that gives me extra willpower to spend. Okay. Well, let's just do this. Offer to write rhymes with her. Let's go all in on perception. Your mother leaves. The last of your sister's poetry burns away in the fireplace. You hug your sister and whisper to her. Let's go to the library, you say. The two of you can hide under the table and write something together. Gloria shakes her head violently. Mother said no, and there's no way she would ever defy her. You reassure her that it will be your secret. You pull Gloria to the library. She fights you, but you refuse to relent. Oh, this is going poorly. You carefully peek inside. Your sister takes a small book from one of the shelves, and you read it together under the table. It's a book of poetry about eternal love. Gloria certainly adores it. You decide to write a poem of your own. She recites a line in an ecstatic voice, and you repeat it after her and offer a rhyme of your own. She nods happily. You do this until the day ends. You have written a poem of your own and learnt it by heart, but not a single line of it has been committed to paper, which means that you have stayed true to your mother's rule. Ha! Lawyered, Mom. Lawyered. Alright, we're 4 now. Ooh. Mother is in her armchair knitting woolen jackets, pants, and socks for the little one. How long? Is this still the same? Oh yeah, okay. Well, she's given birth, right? She's. I'm an idiot. I was like, how long is pregnancy in this universe? But now she's. Yeah, I'm dumb. The baby will need to be kept warm, she says. Father spends less time at home. Now, Mother says he's very busy with his important job. He is a judge, after all. One day you decide to ask Mother about Stefan and Gloria. How come they're brother and sister to you, but not siblings to each other? Well, my dear, I didn't give birth to Stefan, you see. He's the son of another mother, and Gloria is the daughter of another father. Come now, don't knit your brow like that. You'll understand when you're older. How is that even possible? You're all family, are you not? Several days later, Mother calls Stefan and Gloria to the sitting room. You sneak in after them. At first, Mother gets angry and asks you to leave, but then she relents. You're told to sit still, be quiet, and remember every word you hear. When you enter the temple, bow to the twins, first to the elder on the right, and then to the younger on the left. Stefan, you're a nobleman to be, so walk along the side paved with marble, where the benches are. Gloria, you walk along the sharp side. When you're there, you must get down on your knees, each on your own side. Stefan, kiss the sword. Gloria, my daughter, they will strike you with the lash. Don't be afraid of it. Resign yourself to the suffering it brings. It is the blessing of your lot. Gloria doesn't like the idea of the lash. There's a tense feeling in your chest as well. You're told to remember this. Will the lash strike you too one day? On the next day, you take your brother and sister to the temple. Sorry. You run toward them when they finally come back. The back of Gloria's dress is soaked with blood. She's hunched a bit, sobbing quietly. Stefan is putting on airs, acting prouder than ever. Nothing else looks different about them. It's like all is the same, and yet everything has changed. Each of them has accepted their lot. Okay, well, yeah, I guess that happens. And Unity drops down. Yeah, I guess that just happens. Your siblings Stefan and Gloria took their first sacrament at the temple. Thanks. Alright, I have to go run to the washroom, so be right back. Alright, here we go. Now we're back. You eye the little bundle in your father's arms with curiosity. Behind the many layers of swaddling clothes is your newborn baby brother. Mother is glowing and smiling with joy. Stefan and Gloria are also here, all excited. You promise yourself you're going to be the best big brother in the world. You'll never hit him. Oh no, the two of you will play together and tease Stefan together and help Mother together and go on so many adventures together. It feels so strange to be an older brother. Just the other day you were the youngest in the family, but everything is different now. Your parents name your little brother Nathan, and Mother spends all day and night by his side. Nathan cries all the time, day and night. Mother barely gets any sleep. She's so worn out, she starts forgetting things. Like today, for instance, she forgot her knitting in the armchair in the sitting room. You'd better bring it back to her as soon as possible. You run to Mother's bedroom. You miss her smile so much. You walk in without saying hello and give her the knitting, but instead of gratitude, you get an ice-cold, exhausted stare. Nathan is also there, screaming all the time. Go away, Duncan. You're bothering me. She spits these words out. Oh, that wasn't a very good delivery for that, then. You look at the bawling newborn. She can't even get a minute of respite. Enough already. When are you going to stop? I just want some peace and quiet. Mother leaps across the room and starts shaking Nathan with malice in her eyes. His cries get even louder. She looks so tired from his never-ending screams. She seems to be within an inch of smashing him against the wall. Somebody has to do something. You're scared of your mother right now, but you fear for Nathan's life much more. Redirect anger to yourself. Yeah, she's not grateful to me, so I can't hug her. I do have enough willpower to snatch Nathan from Mother. Or I can redirect anger to myself. Interesting. Let's do this, I guess. Mother keeps shaking Nathan violently. You cannot stay away any longer. He is no longer bawling. He is shrieking. Just leave me alone. But then out comes your voice so loud it drowns out their cries. No, it's not Nathan's fault, Mother. You're just tired. Please don't do anything to my little brother. If you have to punish someone, punish me instead. He's too young. He won't understand. Your mother freezes and looks at you, her eyes two narrow slits. Her stare is cold and full of pure wrath. So pure you cannot help but recoil in fear. Oh my god. Are you trying to teach me how to take care of a child? Are you giving me lessons on calming a newborn baby? You're insolent, insipid, nagging, know-it-all. It's time you learned your place. She puts Nathan on the bedsheets, then moves toward you. You step back, but a closed door blocks your way. She slaps you across the face. Your ears ring from the heavy blow, and your cheek burn. And your cheek burn from her wrath. I think your cheek burns from her wrath is what you meant there, honey, but so perfect otherwise. You wince and close your eyes, expecting a second slap, but nothing comes. Nothing but Mother's heavy breathing and Nathan's shrill cries. There's a knock at the door. You step aside. Father walks in. He looks at you clutching a reddened cheek, at the bawling baby, at Mother, her eyes red with rage and tears, her breath heavy and ragged. What voice did we give him again? Go to your room, son. I'll join you soon. It was, like, I didn't give him a gruff voice. I gave him, I don't know. You do as you're told. Back in your room, you press your aching cheek against the cold window, hurt and dazed by what just happened. Soon enough, Nathan stops crying. I think it was more like, go to your room. Yeah, go to your room. Like it was, whatever. You hear Father's heavy footsteps in the hallway. He comes to your room and sits on the bed next to you. Son, please don't be... Yeah, I was trying to hit like a Scottish or Irish one. Please don't be angry. Son, please don't be angry with your mother. The twins know she wishes nobody harm. This is a difficult time for her. She will make it through but we will make it through as a family. You stepped up to protect your brother. You acted like a little nobleman today. I'm proud of you. Your mother and Nathan are resting now. How bad does it hurt? You shake your head. Not bad, but your hand still aches to clutch the cheek. Father embraces you with a sorrowful smile and gingerly pats you on the head as you press your forehead into his housecoat. Things grow calm now. The trouble has passed, and you are quietly happy. Hooray! Your younger brother Nathan is born. Alright. Year 5. This event is a consequence of your previous actions. Because my perception is high. It's at or above 4. Your younger brother Nathan is growing. Mother spends more time with the rest of the family now. You help her and play with your brother and take care of him when she asks. You often go to your mother's room to sit at the foot of her bed after Nathan falls asleep. She reads you the sacred books and asks you about the things you learned that day. During these moments, you see the world through her eyes as well. One day, the door of your room opens and she brings in a large box covered with a piece of cloth. It is rare for you to see her so overjoyed. She sets the box on the floor and removes the cloth. The box under the cloth is made of glass and has a wooden base. Inside you see a layer of earth shaped into carefully crafted passages. These passages are full of hard-working ants. Duncan, this is my gift to you, an ant farm. It's a little world in a small box. We can watch them through the glass. Look, this is the queen ant. She's the reason all these little ants were born. You sit by the box together. You hold your breath as you watch the ant colony at work. There turns out to be a method to the ants' chaotic movements. Every single one of them has a task to perform. Some of them have larger mandibles. They are the protectors of the colony. They can draw blood from your finger. Others work all around the colony, repairing the walls and clearing any debris from passages. There are also workers who collect food. You put into a special tray leaves, bits of meat, maggots. They bring it to the rest of the colony. You take a worker ant and put it right next to the food. However, the insect has no interest in it. It starts circling around the tray aimlessly. Mother takes the stray ant back and puts it back where it belongs. Why did you do that, my son? These ants cannot do what they weren't born to. Each of them was born for their own job. You shake your head slowly. If only the ants could do whatever you wanted them to. This is your gift now, so they belong to you. Or maybe Mother's presence is the reason they won't obey you. Interesting. Decreases unity, but increases perception and gives this insight destiny that looks really cool. No, we'll just, I don't know. Just keep playing with Mother. That sounds like a nicer thing. I don't know. Maybe I should have powered into the thing. With this willpower resource, I also kind of want that too. Mother's look is full of warmth and love. Nathan, Gloria, and Father are away right now. For the first time in a long while. It's just the two of you. Mother takes great joy in watching over the ant farm. She shares her knowledge of the world with you. The things she tells you are true. You move closer to her and suggest going outside and finding some bugs for the ants. She agrees to this happily and holds your hand as you leave the house. Soon you are busy catching bugs and sharing your thoughts on how the ants will feed the colony with them. From time to time you laugh together, making up stories about errant flies and caterpillars overthrowing the ant kingdom. You and your mother hold hands as you return to your room. She can't help but smile. It's a faint smile, a child's smile, a smile full of sunlight. You're so happy to have seen the world through her eyes today. Well, that seems nice, too. You and your mother hold hands as you return to your room. She can't help but smile. Oh yeah, it's the same thing I just got willpower. Cool. You wake up to Father's touch on your shoulder. He is finally back from a long trip. Duncan, today is your special day. The day when you begin your studies. Now, teachers will be coming to our home to teach you, and you must do everything they say. Be diligent in your studies, and you will grow closer to the nobleman's lot. And since you must remember this day, a present is in order. Lydia will get our little schoolboy dressed. I'm taking him to the market district. Stefan wants to come with you too, but Father shushes him sternly. This is your day. Your elder brother is hurt to hear this, but stays quiet. An open carriage takes the two of you through the dusty, noisy city streets, a pleasant wind tussling your hair. Your city, oh good, your city is called Anizoit, that you already know. It is one of the largest cities in the entire empire. It is a big shadow. There is a big shadow on the street. It comes from the white foliage of an enormous tree that spreads its branches all above the city. And now we're getting a little bit of world building about the specific place we live. That's cool. My son, did you know that the silver tree grew from the blood of God's own disciples? It has been growing here for hundreds of years, right in our own city. It cannot be damaged or burned. Not even the clergy know why. The carriage comes to a halt by a small shop next to a city square. You run there and freeze by the stalls in excitement. The shop is packed with dolls and figurines and toys. You've never seen so many at once before. Have you chosen your present yet? Father asks. You have. You want the Holy Order set, which includes several figurines of the Empire's greatest warriors of all time. You rattle off everything you know about the Holy Order. They were the ones who aided the Emperor's own forces in seizing the province of Magra and storming our city. It's how we joined the Empire. Father nods in approval. Very well. War isn't your lot for now, but maybe these toy soldiers will teach you to think like a general. We will lead them into battle and study military strategy. Go on, take your present. Having said this, Father turns away to examine the books. You run to the box of toy soldiers, delirious with excitement. But there's a fancy-dressed boy in your way. He's about to take your warriors for himself. He elbows you aside and reaches for the box. Anger overcomes you and you push him from behind. Your opponent falls to the floor. He's already my opponent. The battle's already begun. The rich boy screams so loudly, everyone in the shop hears it. He hit me! He hit me! A tall tower of a man looms over you. This is the boy's father. But then you feel your own father's hands on your shoulder. What happened? You press against your father, your mind more at ease now. He will protect you. Yes, you shoved the boy to the floor in front of everyone, but he tried to take your present for himself. Father turns you around to face him when he hears these words. Is this true, Duncan? Did you strike the son of a nobleman? Let's see, I could pay some willpower, and it increases the relationship, or I just increase determination. See, what's the difference with admitting my guilt or, okay, I see, that's, yeah, or, yeah. I paid him back in kind, Dad, don't worry, I got him back. It's not a bad one. Let's try this one. You recall Mother's words, if you hurt a noble, you must be punished. There is no use trying to lie to escape it. You say it was all your fault. You pushed the other boy to the floor because you wanted to get your present before him. Father nods to you, relieved to hear it, and the enraged nobleman grabs you by the hand and drags you out to the street. The law is the law, and your punishment is due. Oh, jeez. They lead you and the nobleman's son out of the shop, and you are told to bow to him and show humility. A bad feeling sends a shiver down your spine. With a satisfied grin on his face, the boy swings an arm and slaps you on the cheek. He strikes you again and again. Father stays quiet all the while, but as you ride home after the punishment is over, he shows you a rectangular package. Proud to see you're living by your lot. A common birth leads to a life of humility, and you told the truth and accepted your punishment like a man. The present is yours, my son. Inside a little box with the tin soldiers of the Holy Order inside. They are your reward for humility. Father remembers what you did for him. Yay! Spent that willpower I got last time. Okay. Seems okay. We'll see. We'll keep playing and see how it all frickin' plays out. Today, Father ordered the dinner table to be brought out into the yard. For the first time in months, he's home, outside of the confines of his always locked study. He spent the entire day playing with Nathan and you, discussing various matters with Stefan, now an adolescent, walking in the garden, and now at dinner under the open sky. Your entire family gathers together, with Father at the head of a table smiling. He asks each of you about your studies. Nathan climbs up on his knee and recites a counting rhyme in a funny sing-song voice. Stefan mentions that his fencing teacher praised his accomplishments. He raises from the table together with Father to show his skill at a practice duel. Next comes Gloria's turn. She stands on her chair and recites a lengthy prayer by heart. Mother showers your sister with praise. Father chuckles quietly, hiding a smile in his mustache. When your turn comes, you recite all the ranks of the Legion, from common soldier to high commander. Stefan listens to you with a skeptical look on his face. Night slowly falls, but the servants ensure that the yard is well illuminated. You don't feel cold in the dusk tonight. It feels good, yet so important. All of you are finally together, sitting at the same table. No fighting, just smiles. No arguing, just pleasant small talk. Then a servant approaches Father with a letter in his hand. He reads it in the dim light, and each line gradually washes the smile off Father's face, till only a stone-cold mask remains. Mother looks at Father with an unspoken question in his eyes. Gregor Brante is coming back to Anizot, and he is the head of our family, my father. Your grandfather, Gregor Brante, returned to the family home from the capital. Ever since the news of grandfather's impending arrival, there has not been a single day when the house has not been cleaned or decorated. Your parents anxiously make sure everything is in order. They tell you to wash your face and hands after walks and scold you for leaving books on the floor. They tell Gloria she will be flogged if she is ever seen hiding in the attic. They make Stefan stay in his room. Even baby Nathan gets in trouble. Everyone is on edge. Then one day, grandfather arrives. It is a grim day, so hot your neck is sticky with sweat. Father, Mother, Stefan, Gloria, you and Nathan, the entire Brante family stands on the porch in front of the house servants lined up behind you. The carriage arrives and out steps a tall, gaunt old man with a heavy walking stick and a heavier gaze. You cringe instinctively. Good health to you, Father. Children, greet your grandfather as you've been taught. Still looking, trying to look like a real nobleman, are you? You can't fool me, Robert. I was the first of the Brante family to be ennobled by the mantle, and I'm the only one who remembers how to bear this burden properly. I live honorably by my lot. Your marriage to that low-born wench cut us off from ever becoming nobles of the sword. My progeny could have been born bearing noble blood. I beg you, this is not the place. Grandfather eyes him with scorn and walks into the house, the entire family following close behind him. I've been away far too long. The entire house is a mess. This is an insult. How can you live in such a pigsty, Robert? The servants have grown far too lazy, all thanks to your commoner of a wife. I warned you, did I not? And yet you did as you saw fit. And the children? What do they know of tradition or honor? They are being raised in a virtuous family, Father. And now you're speaking like a lowborn who's content to live in humility. Twins willing now that I am here, this will not happen again. I am taking your oldest son to the capital. Perhaps I would say eldest, your eldest son. I see you cannot provide Stefan with a proper education, so I will correct your mistake. Your brother's fate has been decided, just like that. Father does not object. He orders the servants to prepare Stefan for the journey. Stefan freezes in place, glancing at grandfather and father again and again. The latter puts a hand on his shoulder, reassuringly. Grandfather's lips are a tight line, white with contempt. The house is examined, room after room. Everything grandfather sees is showered with scorn. He scoffs at a crease on a blanket in Nathan's crib in Mother's bedroom. He mocks Gloria's knitting in her room. The door to your room is next. What is this, Robert? 10 soldiers in your younger son's room? He was born a commoner. I won't have him daydreaming of battle. Grandfather seizes the box containing the 10 warriors of the Holy Order. Your father stays silent. Anger and fear boil within you. This is your big present from your first day of your studies. It means so much to you. But what if he's right? What if you need to prove your right to command the toy soldiers first? Grandfather shakes his head in disapproval and shoves the toy box into the roaring fireplace. If you wait too long, they will melt in the flames. Watch them melt helplessly to increase my perception and willpower. Look, I don't have enough determination to rescue I could strike my grandfather. What? They kill you. Driven mad by anger and injustice, you kick grandfather in the leg. Oh, good thing I chose me. I might have been tempted by that option. I guess I'm gonna watch them melt helplessly. It's just a traumatic incident in my life. The wood crackles, the tin melts. The unpleasant smell of burning paint fills the room. Father grimly orders the servants to douse the fire and clean the mess that was your birthday present just a few moments ago. You watch the servants at work with a strange fascination, experiencing an odd feeling of freedom. It all seems right now. It's time for you to grow up. Grandfather leaves to examine the other rooms of the house. I got some willpower and extra and quick perception, so it's probably better than dying, right? You know. Soon, grandfather leaves. Your elder brother Stefan goes with him. From that day on, father's hired teachers tend to you alone. They bore you with monotonous lectures on writing, counting, and the way of life in the blessed Archnean Empire. You often distract yourself from their instruction by playing with your younger brother Nathan. Your home grows quiet without your elder brother. Too quiet. Weeks later, your family receives a letter from Stefan. Grandfather has sent him to a boarding school for nobles, and he is now studying hard in preparation for his service as a nobleman. The rules here are way too strict. You can't even sneeze without the teacher's permission. But I've been studying with my peers. We're learning how to live as nobles in a noble society. We're also learning the art of swordplay. That's my favorite part. My Stefan voice is kind of fun. With Stefan now at the boarding school, grandfather arrives once more, this time to live in your home. The only good thing is that he often has urgent business Yeah, I did know that. Or I did see that there were like deaths, multiple deaths, and the true deaths, but death just seems like something you don't want to have. So till I find a reason not to, I'm not. I'm gonna avoid it. Where was I? The only good thing is urgent business in Eternia, the capital of the Empire. It has to travel there. One day you ask your mother where he lived before. In Eternia, she says. But now his place is here. Each time grandfather returns, he gives the servants new orders. Your home is now always busy with repairs. The servants are redecorating grandfather's chambers, including his library and sitting room. Sometimes father tries to gently talk him out of this. Why subject the home to constant reconstruction? Grandfather's answer is always the same. This house is mine, and I will live here as befits a man of the nobility. I love how the most like noble guy I gave like the grungiest voice. That's my this is my beautiful commentary. Some days grandfather stays home, and on those days you try your best to stay out of his sight. But there's no way you can avoid family breakfast. The food is there, but you cannot bring yourself to eat it. Mother's eyes are red and swollen. She's been crying all night again. Grandfather sits at the head of the table, where nobody used to sit before. Robert, it's high time your youngest sons underwent their sacraments. Uh-oh. Sir Brante, please, let them live free of the lot for a while longer. They are but... Shut your mouth! Robert, that wife of yours is impertinent enough to interrupt me. If this ever happens again, she'll be eating her gruel with the servants in the kitchen where she belongs. That I suspected because I had looked at the achievements that there was multiple deaths fuck it. We'll go through we'll go through again when we understand it more. It's time you considered a real marriage, Robert. One to a woman of the proper station. Uh-oh. Gloria drops her fork. Grandfather shoots her a scathing look. A tear rolls down Mother's cheek. Father does not look away from the plate, his hands clenched into fists. Ooh. Baroness L. Lodar is one such woman. She is a comely woman, and a fine match. She is suing for her inheritance right now, and could use proper support, and a husband. If you can keep your low-born Lydia around, if you'd like. Servant, mistress, I don't care. I will not do that, Father. Now I did pick the voice that hurt my throat, though, for this guy. I am the head of this family, and the family's standing took a severe blow after you married that commoner. It is unthinkable. How could they give you up for the memory of beautiful Amelia L. Bourne for this? How could you give up the memory of a beautiful Amelia L. Bourne for this lowly woman and that bastard child of hers? But now, you have a chance to set things right. Don't disappoint me. Okay, yeah, hold on. Holy fuck. Whew! La. Father nods curtly, trying not to look in Mother's direction. Father, I wish to see Stefan. If I find your conduct in the Baroness's presence satisfactory enough, then you may see him. She's coming for a visit tomorrow. Be prepared. Grandfather wipes his mouth with his napkins, throws it onto his plate, and leaves. Mother's lips move silently. Nobody says a word. Then Father stands up and orders you and the other children back to your rooms. He needs to speak to Mother in private. Father comes to your room before bedtime. He sits on the edge of the bed and adjusts the crease on the woolen blanket. He distanced himself from you after Stefan's departure, so you are not used to such attention from him. In the candlelight, you can see his face in the dark. There's a sour expression on it. Uh-oh. My son, Baroness Emma L. Lodar, will be visiting us tomorrow. Please be polite and treat her with respect. Nathan will do as you do. I want this dinner to be as immaculate as possible. Please, don't let me down. On the next day, Mother starts dressing you and Nathan for the coming dinner. You see red all around her eyes. She's been crying, and for a long time. It hurts just to look at her. Nathan starts whining quietly. You and Nathan are dressed in new doublets, your tousled hair brushed into shape. Gloria is told to stay in her room. Father appears wearing his best suit. Mother is in a humble brown dress, looking pale. Grandfather has an uncharacteristically contented look about him. You hear the sound of wheels and hooves against the cobbles in the yard, then a pair of dainty heels come clanking. The antechamber is completely quiet and still, fearing Grandfather's observant eye. The door opens. You see your guest, a beautiful, dark-haired woman in a dress of elegant deep blue. Father takes the hand of Lady L. Lodar and kisses it, showering her in compliments. Grandfather's face is beaming in her presence. No one ever bothers to introduce Mother. Picked a bad voice for this guy, he speaks too much.
Baroness, allow me to introduce you to Robert's sons, Duncan and Nathan Brante. Frankly, it's his eldest, Stefan, who deserves the most attention, but currently he's studying in Eternia with other young noblemen like himself. It's my hope that his younger sons will also make me proud one day.
Grandfather eyes you with a probing look. How will you act in front of the Baroness? Will you accept her here, next to your mother, your father's rightful wife? Ooh. Greet the Baroness politely. Increase reputation. Walk away with your mother. Ooh. Tempting. Maintain your composure. Which just decreases my willpower. Interesting. Demand that mother be introduced. Interesting. It's kind of boring, but like maybe I think I'm just gonna do this one now. Right? Like I'm just gonna greet the Baroness politely. You follow Father's example and kiss the Baroness's fingers gently. Her laughter fills the antechamber, ringing like chimes. You gallantly offer to lead her to the sitting room. Lady L. Lodar graciously agrees. Behind your back, you can hear Mother sobbing. I'm sorry, Mom. Grandfather and Baroness L. Lodar engage in small talk over dinner. She tells him of the woes of litigation over her late husband's inheritance, and he advises her, like the judge that he is. Father is mostly silent, only getting in a word or two. You do your absolute best to behave yourself. After the decorous farewells to Lady L. Lodar, Father quietly thanks you for your model behavior. The morning after, he leaves for Eternia with Grandfather to visit Stefan. Mother spends almost an entire day in her bedroom. You cannot bring yourself to speak to her. I'm sorry. Father returns from the capital in a quiet rage. You overhear your parents talking. Apparently, Grandfather has already begun poisoning Stefan's mind against him. He greeted Father with cold hostility. The name of Baroness L. Lodar is never mentioned in the house again. Okay, well, sorry. We increased that, okay. We traded some unity for some reputation. Who knows what's right? We're just doing our best here. Father now checks on your studies often and nitpicks you for sitting or eating or speaking in an incorrect fashion. Once he becomes so annoyed, he even says that he wishes Stefan had been the one to stay home instead of you. Never expected to hear those words from Father, of all people. Grandfather's trip to the capital took longer than expected. It feels lighter around the house without his presence. Yeah, it doesn't hurt my throat as much. You allow yourself a little change of scenery. Instead of your room, you can now busy yourself with reading and calculations in the sitting room across from the open door to the yard. Gloria has joined you today. She already helped you progress through several complex passages in the book. Right now, she seems preoccupied with a strange tube. Aren't you hurt by the way Grandfather treats you? You ask. Gloria just shrugs. Grandfather has always said they should get rid of me. I'm used to it now. He hurts you a lot worse because you're close to him. I just have to stay out of his way, that's it. She shows you the strange tube she's been holding all day. Look, it's a kaleidoscope. I got it as a gift. Want to see inside? Excited by the idea, you close the book and peer into the tiny hole on one end of the tube. Your eye sees a multitude of intricate patterns. Each turn of the tube reveals a new web of interwoven colors. They mesmerize you. The kaleidoscope turns the fire burning in the fireplace into a cavalry made of flames. You are riding at the front of the fiery horseman, ready to face the enemy. Grandfather's face emerges from the intersecting lines, and you swing the kaleidoscope like a sword, cutting it in half. Now you look at the blue sky through the window. The patterns are unending, secretive and calm and peaceful, just like Father's smile before Grandfather's invasion. The deep blue gives way to a scattering of gold, radiating gentle warmth like Mother's arms. This fleeting beauty too soon gives way to a hypnotic new pattern. Again and again you see your family in these interconnecting figures as they come together and break apart. In the middle of this golden glow, you see Gloria's green eyes glazing at you observantly. Your sister left you long ago. The books are abandoned and time slips away unchecked, but you are still busy peering into the kaleidoscope. Order emerges from the chaos before your eyes again and again, but you cannot preserve it, no matter how hard you try. You are caught in an inner conflict. There is so much that can be done with this kaleidoscope. Should you take it apart, or ask Gloria how it works, or keep enjoying the patterns it shows? But you still have lessons to do today. What is that? Increases my determination. Increase my willpower. Trade some willpower for perception. Let's be a good boy and finish our studies. You put the kaleidoscope away and return to studying the book. There's so much you have to discuss with Gloria, you cannot help but wonder, what things did she see there? But first, your lessons. When Father walks in, he sees you hard at work over the book. He chuckles in approval and spots the kaleidoscope on the table next to you. He puts the toy to his eye, then freezes for a moment, and then it takes him an effort to put it back down. Then he praises you for being so diligent, and leaves. When the day's section of the book is finished, take the toys upstairs to your sister's room and tell her what you saw in it. You. Gloria smiles, knowing what you felt. I once saw a ballroom full of dancers. I watched it for an entire hour. My hands even got sore. You spend a long time with your sister discussing the kaleidoscopic figures, and you feel a strong connection to her. The toys brought you closer together, made you interconnected, just like the lines and figures in its colorful eye. Cool. Grandfather's visits are no longer a cause for fear and panic in the house. He has become something you're used to, something nagging yet not unordinary, like a splinter or a stain on your trousers. The tension still remains, however. Sir Gregor's disdain for everyone in the house is so palpable it almost stings for real. Your lessons with the tutor are done for today. You're walking down the stairs when you spot Gloria peeping into the sitting room through a slightly open door. You sneak up on your sister and tap her lightly on the shoulder. She is startled. Oh, it's you. Duncan, look. Sir Gregor's eating something. Grandfather is sitting on the sofa, flipping through a book with one hand and reaching for a glass bowl with another now and then. Inside the bowl, you can see candied fruit, a sweet confectionery forbidden to the common estate, like all sweet things. Yet, Grandfather's face shows no pleasure as he keeps consuming the high-born treats. The clock strikes 3. Grandfather rises from his seat, puts away the bowl on a shelf, and leaves for the yard. He always takes a walk in the city at this time. Gloria nudges you with her elbow and looks at the candy bowl when you look at her. The first emotion you feel is fear. Next comes curiosity, and it is stronger. Stefan used to boast that candied fruit tastes incredible, and now you have a perfect opportunity to try it. You try a candied fruit first. The sugar starts to melt as soon as you put it on your tongue. It's so sweet, you have never eaten anything as good as this. You take the whole bowl off the shelf and give it to your sister. She takes the fruit and brings it to her mouth carefully, like a rare treasure. There is a thumping on the stairs, footsteps accompanied by the knocking of a walking stick. You have no idea why, but Grandfather is back. You quickly hide behind the sofa, pull Gloria after you. She's frozen in place with the bowl in her hands. The door opens. Grandfather's menacing figure advances on Gloria. His hand seizes her arm.
You squalid, ungrateful, low-born child. How dare you bite the hand that feeds you? You and your trollop of a mother would be sleeping in a ditch if it wasn't for my spineless son. The sweet and pleasant things in life are for the noble estate, not for the likes of you. Did you forget your lot?
His hand swings and hits Gloria on the cheek. She falls to the floor next to you, where you are hidden. Her fingers glisten with the warm melted sugar that brought you here. Grandfather advances again, his walking stick ready, but then he sees you huddled behind the armchair. Please, don't hurt him, Sir Brante. This is all my fault. He tried to stop me. You can already see a bruise on Gloria's cheek. This is only the beginning of her punishment. Gloria was caught red-handed. Unlike you, you can still avoid your punishment. I mean, I think I'm going to.
What is it then, Milksop? Did you try the sugar too? Or were you trying to stop this piece of filth like she says?
Let's see. It increases the relationship with Gregor, if I tell the truth, eh? Mock Grandfather along with your sister. Huh. Interesting. I don't know. I guess I'm gonna lie. I'm gonna go along with the lie. I don't know. She doesn't like it, but this actually increases my relationship with him. So it's like keep some willpower in reserve and get that like a resource. I don't know. You stand up and start talking. Yes, Gloria was telling the truth. You were trying to stop her. Grandfather tilts his head as he keeps you transfixed by his inhospitably bitter gaze.
Then why did you hide behind the armchair like a petty thief?
It's all Gloria. You tell him she told you to hide. This was bad. Yeah, should have went with the other option. Oh well. Gloria looks at you with pain and disappointment when you say this. Grandfather nods, satisfied by your answer. He tells you to stay and watch him punish Gloria. For the first time in your life, you see someone else being punished. Yes, and that's why I was like, well, I have 0 willpower, so like maybe I should earn a little bit in case I want to spend it more liberally later, you know? Oh, jeez. Her skin split apart by Grandfather's walking stick, her clothes getting soaked in blood as she writhes in agony. Oh yeah? Okay. Interesting. Night comes, but Gloria's sobbing keeps you awake. You go to her bedroom and try to calm her down, but a muffled, "Go away," is her only reaction. She lied to Grandfather for you, so why is she angry with you now? Mother takes Gloria to church next morning. They return late in the afternoon, and Gloria begs Father on her knees for forgiveness. She will never, ever take what she does not deserve by birth, she pleads. She does not look at you, even once. Well, I'm sorry, Gloria. My bad on that one. Nobody's perfect. Father and Mother have been focusing on Nathan and you since early morning. Instead of breakfast, you are told to say your prayers, wash your hands and faces, and get dressed in plain white shirts. Today is the sacrament. It's the day of your sacrament. Mother, I want to go play in the yard. No playing today. You and Duncan are big boys now. It's time for you both to have your first sacrament. No one can live without a lot. I don't want a lot. Be quiet. You were born commoners, so you must accept a low-born lot before the twins. When you grow up, you will get a chance to earn a noble lot. Father and Mother take you to the carriage. Nathan is hungry. He starts whining. Grandfather is the last to get in the carriage. His eyes are on you and your brother, looking for every fault. Soon the carriage is moving along the streets of Anazot, slowly and solemnly. One more turn, you see the colossal white building, marked by two massive pillars. For the first time in your life, you are about to enter the Church of the Twin Gods. You enter the gate and walk under the splendorous dome of the church. The church hall is divided into two halves. They are drastically different from one another. The floor on one side is rough and jagged and covered in dry brown spots, while the floor on the other is made of smooth marble. The commoners kneel on the jagged floor, and the well-dressed nobles and their families sit on pews. Father and grandfather leave you to sit on one of the nobles' pews. Mother walks to the rough stone of the commoner's side and gets down on her knees. You see her wince in pain for the lowborn estate. For the lowborn estate shall suffer in the house of the faith. The church acolytes surround you and lead you to the altar, where you and the other children will take your sacrament this day. Before you stands a tall priest dressed in black with a sword in one hand and a hefty whip in the other. Nathan's whining grows louder. He dislikes this place. He is scared. You remain quiet, but your stomach rolls in uneasy anticipation. The first child to take the sacrament is a jaunty little boy from a family of nobles. The priest extends the sword before him and recites the words of his lot. From this day forth he will fight and rule and pursue the arts, his mind now forever free from the throngs of suffering, for now he belongs to the noble lot. The boy proudly touches the flat of the blade with his lips. Nathan is next to receive the sacrament. He suddenly snaps out of his fearful trance and tries to break free, but the acolyte pulls him toward the altar and throws him on the jagged floor on the lowborn side. The sharp edges bite into Nathan's knees as he lands, spraying drops of red around him. Ugh. I don't want to. Duncan, why do they want to whip me? What did I do? You try to break free and run to Nathan's side. You want to give him courage and protect him, but the acolyte's grip on you is too firm. You feel utterly helpless. Your little brother has to face the world all by himself. The priest starts reciting the words of the lot, and he swings the lash over Nathan's shoulder. From this day forth, Nathan, you shall endure and work and suffer. Thou shalt be ardent in thy labor and humble in thy obedience to thy rulers. And now cometh thy first true suffering, which thou must accept with gratitude. The lash cracks. It strikes his right shoulder. It strikes him. It strikes his left shoulder. The blows are so powerful that Nathan falls to the floor. The priest tells him to rise. He has received his lot. Nathan gets on his feet and drags himself towards Mother, his knees torn and bloodied, his spirit broken. It is your turn. Your feet will not move. You can barely muster enough strength to walk to the altar. You get down on your hands and knees and feel the sharp stones below, so sharp your clothing cannot protect you. Your skin begins to burn. The acolyte forces your head down and you feel the lash being drawn above you, ready to strike. The priest's words are for you now. This is thy sacrament. Thou shalt work and endure and suffer. Thou art about to receive thy first true suffering by the sacred lash. Dost thou accept thy lot? So I can't raise my head. I don't have enough determination. Accept it. Ooh, lowers determination, increases perception. Ooh. Kiss the sword. Wow. Fucking do it, yeah. Let's fucking do it. Defy the right. Yeah, let's fucking do it. I love it. Fucking let's see what happens. There's a bold option. The whip slices through the air, about to strike, but your eyes are transfixed by the blade the priest holds in his other hands. You jump away. The lash misses you. You grab the blade with your hands. It cuts into them without mercy. The priest wrenches it away from your bloody fingers. You look him straight in the eye. I am Duncan of House Brante. The priest freezes in shock. You seize this moment to pull the sword closer and kiss the smooth, cold blade. You hear cries of outrage amongst the churchgoers. Mother prostrates herself on the jagged floor, racked with fear. Father remains still, baffled by what you've just done. But grandfather looks at you intently, as though truly seeing you for the first time. There's a semblance of respect in his gaze. You are forced back to the commoner's place at the altar. The acolyte seizes you by the arms and legs, and you keep your face bent closely to the bloody, jagged stones of the floor. The lash strikes your right shoulder, and then your left shoulder. You are told to rise. You are a commoner. Mother takes your hand and leads you out of the church. Once you are outside, she scolds you for being insubordinate and bringing shame to your family. Nathan holds your hand as you walk, his tearful face a mixture of confusion and awe as he looks into your eyes. But you do not feel as though you have made a mistake. You did what was right for you. Yeah. Yeah, baby. You have taken your first sacrament and received the commoner's lot. I mean, I tried, I guess. I tried to cheat my way out of it. Ah, this event has happened. There we go. I got an achievement for it, too. You challenge the Sacred Order and attempt to seize a noble lot. Okay. Nice, yeah. Seems like it was important, then. The mark left on you by the sacrament takes a long, long time to heal. Mother says that it's a reminder of your lot, suffering and sufferance, pain and patience. Gloria shows you the mark of the lash on her shoulder one day. It will never disappear. You are a commoner now. That is the lot you were born into. But Father keeps telling you to study hard so you may yet earn a different lot and become noble of the mantle. You recall the past with warm sadness, when Stefan still lived with you, or when he wrote to you for a time shortly after he left. Now he thinks it beneath him to write to the commoners in his family. Mother didn't lock herself in the bedroom as often back then. This changed shortly before Nathan was born. But most importantly, you missed the time before the terrifying figure of your grandfather was constantly looming over you. You learned the true power of the lot only after the head of the family's arrival. In grandfather's eyes, no commoner deserved to be treated with kindness. Is it just him? Or is it the way of the entire world? The very thought makes you queasy. You are older now, and what's more, you are an elder brother now. You've learned how to care about someone else, how to teach and protect. Soon you are a small boy no longer. As the days pass, play gradually gives way to laborious study. Now your choices will decide your place in the bizarre and ruthless world of adulthood. Your childhood years are over. So these seem like I guess the ones that are set. I mean, this was the big one that I chose. Okay. It will convert into adult qualities at the end of Chapter 2, Adolescence. Okay. Alright. Chapter 1 is done. excited. This game seems really fucking
I was growing up fast. The school, the streets, and the whole wide world awaited me beyond the gate of my parents' house.
You've lived in this world for 8 years now. As you grow older, life grows more complex. The world of your childhood was limited to your house and family, but now that realm is expanding. It also includes your neighborhood, the nearby houses, the streets of the ancient city of Anazot. A question now looms over you, growing more pressing with every passing year. What will be your place in this vast outside world? Few people in the blessed Arcanian Empire trouble themselves with this question. It is not within a man or woman's power to choose. Their destiny is predetermined by their birth and those who bore them. And yet your peculiar birth has granted you a choice. Your father is a man of nobility and a worthy example in matters of duty and honor. Your mother is a commoner of lowly estate, humility and patience made flesh. And your sky is ablaze day and night with the light of the shining pillar, the beacon of the clergy. Your back bears the mark of the lash. Will you accept the drudgery and suffering that is the lot of the lowborn of your entire life? Or will you follow in the footsteps of your father and your father's father and fight for the right to serve the empire as a noble of the mantle? Perhaps you will follow the twin god's word and offer spiritual guidance to others. The answer lies out there in the vast, terrifying world. What awaits you beyond the walls of your home? Okay. Some blood type. Okay. Meet a girl. Oh yeah, I should have had the epiphany. Okay. Nobility, ingenuity, spirituality, willpower. Oh, so yes, and now we can view the relationship screen. Oh, no relations yet. Okay. Wow. Oh my, this looks cool. Being obstinate, despotic, notorious, even more. Power. Church. Wealth. Peace. Fall of the old faith. Interesting. Okay. A map of the empire. Huh. Wow. Oh my god, this game is so neat. So much. I'm excited. Okay, so I have different traits now. Now that I'm in the next chapter, I guess. Okay. Okay, yeah, that's the one I got. Although I could have gotten both of these had I chosen. I didn't realize that these were cool and important ones. Okay. Neat. Alright, let's do it. Let's move on. Let's do it. The family expects more and more of you as you grow up. The teachers and tutors hired by your father keep you on your toes all the time. Your life these days is dedicated to studying for your future, for the future of the Brante family. Your younger brother Nathan keeps growing up too. He can hold a conversation now. You never refuse him when he comes to play, provided you have a bit of free time between your demanding lessons. It's a rainy day today. Father and mother have gone to a ball, and they left Nathan in your care. You lose track of time over the books in the sitting room, and Nathan goes off alone to splash in the creek. Soon you hear his voice begging you to come outside. He's on the porch, sobbing, all covered in dirt. You walk up to him as he continues to bawl. It's all that kid. He pushed me into the ditch, and he called me names. He said I was a fancy pants fool. He said I call my brother. He's still there. You have to go punish him, Duncan. Oh my gosh. Nathan points at a lopsided wooden house further down the street where the poorer artisans live. You see two boys lingering there on the porch. They are clearly both commoners, but far from poor. One of them is almost as tall as Nathan, and he frowns in a funny way, just like him. The other looks older, almost your age, but he is far more broad-shouldered and taller. His name is Thomas. You've heard it before. There, Duncan, that's him. Nathan points at the younger boy and hides behind your back. Thomas grins and rolls up his sleeves to reveal strong forearms. He must have been helping his father with manual labor for quite some time. Listen up, rich boy. We don't give a damn about you or your friendship. We don't let nobody call our home a stinking rat hole. Your little brother earned his ditch dive. Maybe next time, he'll dress normal and stop picking fights with people who can throw him in the mud. Your hands clench into fists before you react. Nathan called them names first. No wonder they did the same. That's how it goes. But pushing your brother into a ditch is too much. Thomas stands tall and confident. He sees no threat in you. You're about to get ready for a fight when you feel a tug on your sleeve. You turn your head to see Nathan, the one who started the whole mess. Let's see. Say your brother is to blame. Come at Thomas and give him a beating. Interesting. Reason with Thomas and avoid a fight. Yeah, let's try that. Let's try that. The quarrel can be resolved peacefully. You turn to Thomas and offer to solve the problem like adults. His brother will apologize to Nathan, and Nathan will apologize to him in return. There is no need to fight anyone, and you will give Nathan a piece of your mind when you get home. You and Thomas are all grown up and should act your age, you say. The blood rushes to Thomas's face when he hears this. Act our rage, you say? Are you calling me a baby? You better shut your trap. This is all he says before he attacks. You barely dodge a fist flying at your face. You start trading blows, huffing and puffing with rage. The younger brothers gawk in awe at the sight. Thomas does not resort to fancy moves, dirty tricks, or stupid taunts. He displays nothing but skill earned in many a street fight, and his heavy fists aim for your head. You keep dodging him again and again, trying to reach for him. He takes a couple of glancing blows, but easily shakes them off. What a bruiser. You start swinging your fists with greater and greater fury. Your firsts? With greater and greater fury. Your head is pounding like a hammer. You see nothing but the foe in front of you. How much longer will this take? You're worn out. Your breath grows ragged and your muscles grow heavy. There's no way you can give up now. Nathan is watching you. Desperate and out of options, you swing and punch Thomas square in the nose and immediately let his fist smack you into the temple. The blow rings through your head like a bell and blinds you for a minute. The world swims before your eyes. You clutch at your head to get your bearings. Thomas is standing in front of you, blood dripping from his nose. You no longer want to fight it out, and it seems your opponent would rather end it too. But you keep standing there, eyeing each other angrily. Then suddenly you hear an angry shout right next to you. An enraged man in a craftsman's apron is shaking his fist. Thomas's face contorts in terror right away. It's my father! Run! The punishment for fighting is flogging, and the mere prospect of that makes you run like the wind. Thomas sprints in front of you. You dash across the rotten wooden planks of the back alley, up and over a lopsided fence, across a giant puddle in one leap, and then forward into the tall grass. You hide there and stay quiet. You hear no sounds of pursuit. You exchange glances with Thomas and start laughing. His laughter is loud and infectious, but soon he cuts it short and grows sadder. I'm gonna get flogged anyway. My dad always knows quick to give me a beating. And then he'll start nagging me about the law and prayers for the day like he always does. Why do I always get myself mixed up in this stuff? Fighting's the only way to prove you're worth anything, right? The adults didn't see you fighting, you tell him, so all you have to do now is convince them you weren't. Nosebleeds happen, right? Mother gets nosebleed all the time. Well, we could try it. Let's hope our little brothers don't tell on us. I'll talk to mine. There's a scratch in your head. Don't let them see it. Good thing I didn't hit you in the face. There, good as new. You assure him that Nathan will never tell, and in return you'll make sure he behaves himself, so he won't get tossed into a ditch again. With that, you shake hands with Thomas. His handshake is as strong as you would expect based on his fists. And you make your way out of the tall grass. You need to leave before Thomas's father goes to your family and complains about you breaking your luck. You come to a realization on the way back. You had no idea the place where you were hiding even existed, and it wasn't too far from home. Thomas smiles in excitement when he hears this. Oh, I know lots of places like that. I'll tell you what, if we get out of this mess today, I'll show you the way to the old fortress wall. It's the perfect place to build your own fort. I dragged a bunch of wooden planks there. Too bad it's no, Too bad it's no fun to build all alone. My brother never helps, he just gets in the way. You emerge from the muddy back alleys, united by a secret only the two of you know. It seems you've made a friend today. You emerge from the... Oh yeah, it's the same thing. Just increase spirituality because we were trying to be peaceful. Made a friend, a boy named Thomas. Blistering hot today, even for the sun-parched land of Magra. As soon as you are done with your studies, you dash outside and out of the stuffy room. You and Thomas roll up your shirt sleeves, but it barely helps. You would gladly go shirtless had you only been in the company of other boys. Ooh, yeah, me too, buddy, right? Yeah, me too. But there were 3 girls in the yard today, and no one wants a girl to see them shirtless. And they were doing the laundry in a big wash tub, whispering and giggling. If you could, you would gladly keep watching one of them at work. She has big blue eyes. She has big blue eyes of deep blue. Her dark hair is braided, her plain gray dress is mended and patched all over. Her name is Sophia. She throws her head back a little when she laughs. The rays of the sun are reflected in her eyes. You, Thomas, and the other boys keep telling silly stories, anything to make her laugh. You sure love telling tales, Duncan. Oh, I remember this one time. Then Sophia hears a voice calling her home. She nods to you and runs across the street, smiling. Her light steps carry her forward, but her eyes are looking elsewhere. And then a stone on the road catches her foot as she stumbles and falls flat into the dust. The street starts shaking from the thundering of hooves. Riders appear on the road from around the corner. They bear a coat of arms you recognize right away, a sable serpent blade upon a field of vert. It symbolizes the Melandius dynasty, the family of your province's Archduke. The horses dash forward. A lost wooden toy on the road cracks. A lost wooden toy on the road cracks under their hooves. They will not slow down. They are the nobles, and the rest must make way for them. Sophia's in their way, now just starting to get back to her feet. Her mother is crying for her desperately from behind the fence door. You freeze in terror. The riders surely see the girl. Are they going to stop, or are they going to trample her? In only a few moments, the beautiful girl will be toppled, trampled, and crushed. Unfortunately, I do not have enough willpower to do that. So I have to stay where I am and watch Sophia die. You stand frozen by the roadside, unable to look away as the cloud of dust covers the entire street. You feel as if a massive, maddening beast whipped into a merciless frenzy has just passed you by. You hear no screams, no cracking bones, nothing but the deafening din of hooves. Once the horses are gone and the dust settles, you can finally see the road again and the repulsive blob of blood, flesh, and bone left on it. You can still see traces of Sophia in the mess, her dark hair, the remains of her dress, but it is no longer her. Sophia's earthly remains slowly dissipate and melt into the air. Her mother's eyes are filled with grief as she watches. She hunches over and slowly walks back into the house. You can still hear the riders far away down the road. None of them even bother to look back. Your friends walk away at a loss for words. You make your way home, dazed by what you have seen. You are still dazed as you retell these events to Mother, unable to look up from the floor. After a moment of silence, she embraces you and calms you down. Poor girl. What a terrible, painful death. But you must know that that was not her true death. By the twins' mercy, we are all given enough time in this world. Should you die before your time, you will be brought back by their grace. For 3 times they will rescue you from a terrible fate, but the 4th death is true and final for all. Every loss of life, every loss of a life we were granted at our birth is a heavy blow to us, but the gods told us not to mourn a lesser death. Everybody will keep on living as though nothing has happened, even Sophia's parents. Their family is poor, and they have no family crypt like we do. When the girl's soul comes back to life, her body will be reborn in the city church with all her wounds healed. Do not mourn her, my son, but thank the twin gods for their justice. You see Sophia by her house a few days later, and she looks completely fine, without so much of a scratch. The other children tell you that her parents now forbid her to leave the yard after dying such an early first death. You call out Sophia's name, she looks at you briefly, and then walks back inside. Sophia never talks to you again. That's reasonable. But I didn't have enough willpower to save you, Sophia, so I couldn't. There wasn't any choice there. We were just a result of previous choices. I guess. Sophia disappeared after the terrible incident with the horses. Her friends gossip that her parents sent her off to serve a rich, noble dynasty. You haven't seen each other since that day, but you still remember Sophia's eyes, the sunlight shining in them. But no matter what, life goes on. You are 10 years old now, your studies continue, and you are learning more about the land you live in. Anazot is an ancient city in an imperial province by the name of Magra. All soil in Magra was turned to ash eons ago, scorched by magic during the rebellion of Duke Chair Melanidas. The magical arts are all but gone now, but the scorched earth has remained barren and infertile ever since. Since then, the entire province has lain barren, tormented by cold and scorching winds in equal measure, with few precious plants taking root on their own. All fertile land in Magra is brought elsewhere and brought here by an endless caravan of carts and carriages. To pay for food and soil, the cities of Magra become skilled in many trades, primarily mining and digging for metals and stone. Last fall there was an explosion just outside the city, followed by clouds of thick smoke. The first such incident frightened the citizens, but then explosions and smoke became an everyday occurrence. Soon everyone grew used to it. Father explains that the miners are using a new invention called gunpowder. It makes it easier for them to reach precious stones and metals buried deep within the earth. Then one day, a thunderous explosion rocks the city, and black, billowing smoke covers the houses. People are stuck in their homes, all windows tightly shut. The air is impossible to breathe. Nathan coughs all the time. Gloria and you cough only when nobody is watching. If Mother hears it, she'll make you inhale those hot, herbal vapors, just like Nathan. It takes 2 days for the black smoke to disperse. People pour out into the street to meet their friends. And they were quarantined, huh? Only 2 days, though. Thomas is eager to share everything he knows about the incident with you. They took lots of burnt-up people to the city temple, Mom told me. She was helping the healers. There are many rumors. Some claim it was the work of a beast stirred from its slumber, while others say it's the surviving witches that continue to threaten the order in the Empire with their accursed powers. But as for you, you patiently wait for Father to come back home, and then you'll ask him about it. Father spends day and night working at the prefecture, while Mother spends all her time in prayer. It takes a full week for Father to finally come home, and he's completely spent. You muster enough courage during dinner to ask him what happened outside the city. Father raises his head, his face a bleak, weary mask, and starts muttering his proclamation. It's almost as if he doesn't see you. It's the mine outside the city. They were trying to get to a vent of ore. There was an explosion. The mine caved in, and the black smoke started flowing. Many workers died there. It was all because Count Velasco, who owns the mines, wanted them to start mining the vein before they were ready. Some of the workers weren't even reborn. Perhaps the twins thought their final time had come. The prefecture had been inundated with complaints from families that had lost their breadwinners, asking the judges for help. Many people have also lost their cattle to the black smoke. Count El Vasco blames gunpowder for the disaster. The prefecture and the newspapers just repeat whatever he says, but it's plain old greed and tyranny of noblemen that are to blame. Why, the welfare of our province is always paid for with commoner lives. Then, without warning, he grows silent again. You keep thinking about it for days. Can a human life really end so easily? A single moment of bad luck and you die, only to re-emerge from the temple or the family crypt with a new black mark on your arm. Or worse, you remain where you fell, dead, never to be reborn again. Ever. Interesting. During lunch, Father tells you to stay home in the evening and prepare to meet some important guests. Your elder brother Stefan will return home by dinner tonight. Joining him will be your grandfather, Gregor Brante, as well as a noble friend of the family. You are excited about your brother's return. It's been years since you last saw him. How has he changed during his years away from home? You and Father await the guests anxiously. The doorbell rings. 3 people are standing outside. Grandfather is the first to come in, naturally. He has not changed a bit since his last visit, still eyeing the house with contempt, looking for any reason to demean it. Grandfather is followed by a stately young man dressed in a jacket embroidered in silver, whom you barely recognize as your brother. Stefan casts a glance at your threadbare clothes, your dirty fingernails, and smirks. The last to enter the house is a personable gentleman with a worn-out, wrinkled face. You have heard a lot about this man from father and grandfather. He is Baron Augustine Elborn, Stefan's uncle, a family friend and the province's prefect, which means that he is the head judge and thus father's superior. Sir Elborn smiles lightly and offers you his hand. This must be your younger son, Duncan. Yes, you have your father's eyes, young man. Father bows slightly to grandfather and Sir Elborn, but there is a moment of quiet when Stefan's turn comes. Father reaches out to him awkwardly, expecting an embrace. There is a question in Stefan's eyes as he looks at grandfather. The old man shakes his head, almost imperceptibly. We noblemen ought to put our emotions on public display, Father. Not even after a lengthy separation. There is no embrace. Instead, Stefan nods to Father curtly. He responds in kind, his face devoid of emotion. After the greeting, you proceed to the sitting room. Elborn is the first to enter. He kisses Mother's hand, and Gloria's too, and tussles Nathan's hair after he sees him hiding by the table. Grandfather acknowledges them with a glum nod. Greetings, Lydia Brante. I remember you were kind to me when I was but a child, and you must be Nathan. You could barely walk when I last saw you. Your elder brother ignores Gloria completely, not even a greeting. You proceed to the dining room in a dignified manner and take your seats. The dishes smell delicious, but they merely punctuate the overwhelming tension of the table. Elborn is the only one with a friendly smile on his face. Oh, this dinner is splendid, Lydia. Did you choose the dishes yourself? You have a truly refined palate. It warms my heart to know Stefan spent his early years with you. Womanly care always does a child good, no matter the estate. Your fork freezes in the air halfway to your mouth. You expect many things from a noble of the sword, but words of praise for a low-born woman are not among them. You cast a glance at Grandfather. He looks like he is about to choke on those words.
It would do my grandson more good to stay at boarding school among his equals.
Please, Gregor, parenting is no less important. Nothing can replace a mother's love. I cannot deny it. It saddens me greatly that my late sister could not be there to raise Stefan. But there was still a family for him, and he was surrounded by love. How could that be bad? And besides, his father was by his side all the while. A father's example is always the best. After all, Robert earned the judge's rank the same way you did. Your grandson will surely follow your footsteps. And who knows, perhaps even the younger men of the Brante family will contribute to the...
You clumsy, low-born cretin!
Everyone is startled by this sudden outburst. Grandfather's face turns red. He is glaring at a young lady servant holding a pitcher over a glass. Stefan is sitting right next to her, dabbing a napkin on a fresh stain on his jacket.
Begone this instant!
The lady servant runs away, leaving the pitcher on a small table by the door. After a quiet moment, Elborn smiles again. It appears the servants have left us, yet dinner is far from over. Worry not, Uncle. There are enough commoners at this table to keep us served with food and drink. Stefan glares at Gloria across the table. She's sitting right next to you. She shrinks down and hunches over his gaze. Under his gaze, sorry. Father furrows his brow. Mother covers her mouth with trembling hands. Grandfather sneers. Stefan's gaze does not move. The silence lasts far too long. Then she starts to raise from her chair. If the Brante gentleman so wish it. Your hands clench into fists under the table. How can he bring himself to humiliate his own family? His own mother and sister like this? It is all Grandfather's doing. Stefan could not even bring himself to embrace Father without his permission. And yet they are noblemen, and they have the right to act this way. If there's any way this dinner can become even more unbearable, you do not want to see it. So, make small talk over dinner, insult my brother, or join Gloria. I don't know, I have like minus willpower, so like maybe I should do this to get the extra willpower. Not sure. Willpower or nobility and Gregor liking me more? I'm kind of tempted to do this one. I'm trying to put, yeah. I don't know, but I have such low willpower. Oh boy. Yeah, let's do it. Let's take the increase in willpower. You deliberate for a moment, then take the napkin off your lap and rise to join Gloria. A moment later, you hear the sound of another chair moving. Your mother joins you. The three of you now refill glasses, serve food, and clear away dirty dishes. Sir Elborn tries to make small talk with Father, but in vain, so he focuses his attention on Grandfather and Stefan. Grandfather is pleased to inform him of Stefan's advancements at the boarding school, especially his exemplary sword-fighting skills. He constantly stresses the importance of your elder brother for the future of the family. You listen to him dispassionately as you continue serving new dishes to the table. As you wait at the nobleman's table, your sister and your mother never bump into each other. Your labor is impeccable. Grandfather could not have found fault with it, even if he tried. Your shoulders and back are aching, but a manservant inside your own house hurts even more. But being a manservant inside your own house, it hurts even more. When the guests finally leave, Mother and Gloria embrace you with relief. You did not neglect your relatives and shared their humiliation, and the composure that you have shown gave you new strength. Yes. Hooray! Get some of that willpower back. I was plus 10, so that was a pretty good willpower. Alright, here we go. Hot, dry wind sweeps through the city from the barren lands around it. The noble residents of Anazot prefer to remain in their chambers, while the commoners huddle in tents or in the shade of the silver tree. You are on an errand now. Your father wrote a letter to a noble acquaintance, and you are to deliver it. Thomas, the boy down the street, is tagging along. The two of you are inseparable now. That's good. The errand is an easy one, so you decide to take this opportunity to loiter around the part of Anazot where the nobles live. So here you are, in the middle of a city square, resting on an ancient brickwork by the old foundation in the merciful shade of the gargantuan silver tree. Thomas is by your side, lazily slouching on the edge of the fountain's basin. It's a hard life for commoners like you and me. Either you break your back in a workshop day and night, hoping someone will buy your goods someday, or you become a manservant to some noble. You never get a chance to enjoy life. This is our lot, you remind him. We work, endure, and suffer. But Thomas waves your words away. Yeah, I know that already. Mother keeps drilling that stuff into me. We must be humble. Our strength is patience and persistence. Yeah, I say, but I want to make my fortune no matter what. So how ain't that living by my lot? I ask you. But the lots, they ain't easy. Let's take you, for example. Brante, your father's a nobleman. But even if that didn't make you one, just look at your hands. You never had to work as hard as me. But we have the same lot, so we're supposed to suffer the same. Or look at your father. He's a judge. He toils at the prefecture every day and night doing his judging, and he's a noble. I've never seen an Archnean work as hard as he does. You shrug. The Archneans are a different race. The books say they were born to rule over humans. They are never commoners, always noblers of the sword by birth. They founded the Empire after subduing all the human kingdoms on the continent. Humans will never be their equals. Archneans are always better, smarter, stronger, and their skin is a noble shade of blue. If the books are to be believed, of course. You have never seen one yourself. Your idle chatter is suddenly interrupted by a rugged-looking guardsman dressed in black and green. He chases you away from the fountain. Common rabble like you have no place here. You hear the clattering of hooves and wheels against the cobblestones and see flags bearing a coat of arms. A sable serpent on a field of vert. It makes you squirm. It is the Archduke's coat of arms. The Melanidos dynasty. The carriage door opens, revealing a young lady in a luxurious dress. You cannot look away from her. Those dainty shoulders, suggested but not revealed by the cut of her dress, her black hair cascading over them, her stately, slim silhouette, her pouty lips and prim nose, and those dark eyes, dark like the night sky. The way she moves, fluidly, gracefully, and most incredibly of all, her skin glows in azure blue. She is a masterpiece given life. She is an Archnean. Octavia. Clear the way for me. The Milan. I should figure out how to pronounce every name. Melanadas guardsmen work quickly to clear the way to the fountain for the Archnean lady. The searing sun dances on her skin in bizarre patterns. With one elegant motion, she reveals a handkerchief, then leans over the basin and wipes her head and neck with its cool water. Well, I'll be. That's Octavia Melandidas. Melandidas. Our Archduke's own daughter. The Archnean turns away and proceeds gracefully back to her carriage. You can see something slip out of her hand and fall onto the cobblestones right next to you. Her handkerchief. It's right there by your feet. Intricate craftsmanship, expensive woven fabric, delicately decorated with emerald filigree. Your heart skips a beat. Will you dare draw the beautiful Archnean's attention in order to return her lost possession? Or would you rather not attempt to cross the chasm between you and her? Stash the trophy. Or I could give it to her. Yeah. Sure, let's do it. I just earned a bunch of willpower, so let's spend some of it. It takes a moment to overcome your fear. You follow the young lady Melanidas and call out for her in a nervous way. She turns around, her beautiful face marred by a puzzled expression. You extend the dropped handkerchief toward her. Lady Octavia's face contorts into a sneer. She signs to the guardsman indifferently. A guardsman, gauntlet-clad hand, slaps you in the face. It rings your head like a heavy bell. Your nose cracks obediently under the staggering force. The rest of you follow suit and you fall prone. You can discern the guardsman's voice through the painful din in your ear. Should I take the handkerchief back, lady? After a commoner's hands have befouled it, let him wipe himself with it for all I care. The carriage drives away. Thomas runs up to you and drags you back to the fountain. Your head is still ringing from the blow. The faithful handkerchief is still crumpled in your hand. Okay. You experience your first romantic feelings. Okay. Yep. Sure. "12 years old now, you overhear an important conversation. It is a spring night, and Mother has just sent everyone to bed. You walk past Father's study and hear voices coming from beyond the door. Grandfather is yelling, and Father is replying quietly. The elder Brante men are fighting, arguing about the place of the commoners in the city. You sneak outside to avoid Mother's attention and hide next to the open window of the study. Perhaps they'll mention you too.
That low-life idiot has the gall to pay me a visit and beg me for some service. He had the insolence to ask me outright. He thought I was going to support his claim for the chairman's seat in the lesser quorum. How dare he?"
Father, please listen. Mayor Egmont may be low-born, but he carries a lot of clout in Magra. He owns 5 iron mills. A friend like him could be quite useful. Should he become the chairman of the lesser quorum?
I don't give a damn who this Egmont is, Robert. What he is, however, is low-born. His lot is humility and obedience. The likes of him can never rule anything. They're nothing but a flock of sheep that need a firm, noble hand to guide them. I've wasted so many years trying to quash that quorum decree, but that accursed Cornelius Tempest did everything in his power to make the Emperor sign that pathetic screed. And now even lowlifes can wield power. True power, Robert.
just the right to discuss the size of the Archduke's tax, nothing more.
This is only the beginning. What's next? Are they going to arm the lowlifes now? Make them into judges? If the Empire rejects the foundations and the lots, the entire edifice will crumble. Bah! Who am I telling this to? It's already crumbling, and you, my son and heir, are our harbinger of its destruction.
Father, I am begging you. I do not wish to marry a third time. Lydia is a good wife and a dutiful mother to my children. If you would only allow her to...
I will allow them nothing. Neither Igmont nor this freeloading wench of yours. What will you want? What will you want me to do next? Live by the laws of the lowborn? I can already see where this is going, and I'd rather run my own sword through my gut than live in a country where nobles and lowlifes share the same rights. My only dream is to see the name of Brante in the Blue Book, but that dream will never come true. They will never call me Venerable El Brante. It's all because of this marriage of yours. My only hope now is to hear Stefan addressed in such a manner one day. Thank the twins I didn't let you ruin the boy. He's about to grow up a true nobleman. His children will bear the name of El Brante.
You have 2 more grandsons.
Those spineless milksops from the common lot, they're incapable of anything. The best your middle son could do is sneak into Imperial College and get ennobled by the mantle, although I have grave doubts about even that. As for that downtrodden Nathan, I hold out no hope for him whatsoever.
You hear grandfather's heavy footsteps, the thudding of his cane, and the slamming of the door. It's time to sneak back home before you're discovered. You have started studying in the school of Sir Tybor and began to master the sciences. Finally, the day comes when the teachers stop coming to the house. But before you can breathe a sigh of relief and put away the books, Father asks you to come to his study. You've grown, my son. It's time for you to continue your education away from home. I've chosen a deserving school for you. Sir Tybor's School for the children of noble and well-off commoners. Naturally, it is not a boarding school for nobles, so you will study there during the day and come home in the evening. You share the news with your best friend, Thomas. Sir Tybor's School, eh? Yeah, I gotta ask my parents to send me there too as soon as they get the coin together. Father says his workshop has toiled day and night for years to save up for my education. The school is based in an ancient estate of Archnean design. The classrooms are tall and spacious with massive benches. The sounds of scraping quills and lectures on history and imperial law and theology echo under the vaulted ceilings. The rules are strict, the lessons tiring. Relentless, Thomas keeps getting distracted, and several times he gets his hands slapped with a stick for it. Every teacher demands flawless masteries of their subjects. Every day, Father asks you about your studies. You've already told him twice how Magra joined the Emperor and how the noble's court of honor is different from the commoner's civil court in the city prefecture, but Father keeps pressuring you to work even harder. When it's time to go to bed, Mother will not let you go to sleep until you recite a newly learned prayer for her. And when it is time to go to school, you promise her every day that you will behave with great humility and steer clear of insolent behavior of any kind. For you still live by the commoner's lot, and that lot is hard work and suffering. Your first month in school draws to a close, and the teachers announce that there will be exams at the end of the month to determine the best and the worst students in each subject. Father insists that you devote all your spare time to studying law and history if you wish to follow in his footsteps. But when you speak to Mother every day, you start considering theology. You still remember the revelations and divine visions to you in your earliest years. You have only one more day until the exam, and you've locked yourself away in your room. It's already getting late. Your desk is covered with handwritten notes surrounded by leather-bound books. Just looking at them makes you queasy. But you have to read through them all again, at least for one of your subjects. There is a nagging thought on your mind. Thomas ended up in big trouble the other day. He got in a fight with several boys who lived next street. They heard about your wooden fortress and got in an outrage by the fortification built by commoners. They swore to dismantle it tonight. Thomas swore he would defend the fortress until the end. Perhaps you should abandon the books to rescue the friend in need? But then you hear your little brother Nathan knocking at the door. He stands there shyly, not saying a word. He often does that, standing still and staying speechless until either of you speak first or he runs away. But this time, he actually says something. The door is locked. Are you okay, Duncan? Is there anything I can do to help? Your head is spinning. This is the last evening before the school exam. If you fail, your family will be very disappointed. You'll have to refresh your memory on law or theology, either one or the other. But Thomas and your fort are about to be stormed. Why today of all days? You grind your teeth in a rage at the thought. Nathan is by the door, trying not to bother you. He wants to help you the only way he can, for reasons known only to him. Will you accept his help? Alright, focus on laws, extra nobility. Helps Thomas is ingenuity. Study theology, obviously increases spirituality. And that increases my willpower, and lets me spend money with Nathan. Oh. No. Extra spirituality. No, I kind of want to go help Thomas. Let's do it. He's my friend. Let's do it. Let's do the friend thing. You push Nathan out of the room. He cannot possibly help you prepare for the exam. But once you are sure no one is behind the door, you open the window and climb out into the yard and over the fence. And then you run like wild to your wooden fort where Thomas is in peril. The battle for the fort has already begun. Thomas is cornered. He swings a loose wooden plank, fending off 3 boys at once. This is not a fair fight by any means. Your friend is rugged enough to have a fighting chance against 2 of them, but 3 is too many for him to handle alone. Where have you been, Duncan? They're about to smash our fort. Get them! You flank the assailants and slam into them at full speed, channeling the cavalry of the holy warriors. You take them by surprise as you pull one of the aggressors away and knock him out with a punch to the jaw. Thomas cheers you on. You team up and make short work of the remaining foes. Your enemies retreat in shame. Thomas got a black eye and his knuckles are covered in blood, but he looks unusually pleased with himself. Couldn't have done it without you. Just look at them trying to tell us where to build our fort. Okay, time to fix her up. Your score on the exam was merely satisfactory, but still well above a failing grade. The family is not too happy with you, but life goes on and your studies continue. You know you could have worked harder to prove yourself to your teachers, but the wooden fort still stands proud, and that's what matters. Actually, what really matters is that I got that relationship increase with my friend. Your education continues. As you study imperial law, you come to realize that there is a certain hierarchy even within the noble estate. It seems your father's status is not quite equal to that of the more eminent human and Arcanian gentry. You return home with this new information at your disposal. Father asks you about school after dinner, as he always does. And what is the difference between nobles of the mantle and those of the sword, Duncan? You already have an answer ready. The latter status is hereditary, meaning that it is passed down from father to son. After the Arcanians, nobles of the sword are the most eminent humans in the Empire. They own land and estates, they fill offices of the highest ranks, and the names of their bloodlines are preserved within the Great Blue Book. Nobility of the sword can only be granted only by the overseer of the province or the emperor himself. Only was needed there, guys. And how are And how are such eminent people addressed? With the honorific L before their last name, you should respond Sir Augustine L. Bourne, for example. Father pats you on the shoulder, clearly pleased. And what about the Arcanians and their status? What have you learned about them? The Arcanians stand above all human gentry. They are born to rule over humans regardless of their titles. No L is required when addressing them. They need no honorifics, for the names of their ancient dynasties are known to all. Father nods somberly. Yes, we can never be their equals. Do whatever an Arcanian tells you and never defy them, ever. And what about grandfather and me? Where do we stand as nobles? That's easy. Father and grandfather are nobles of the mantle. Their titles cannot be inherited, but it can be earned by any commoner as a reward for great service to the Empire in the Legion or as a silver servant. Father suddenly grows quiet and looks you in the eye intently. Yes, and someday you will earn a noble title too, son. All in due time. Sir Tiber's school teaches children of all stripes. Nobles of the mantle and low-born parents can send their sons here, and every passing day the children of the noblemen invent new ways to snub and bully the commoners. Most of the time, the bully leading them is Diedrich, a son of the secretary of the Imperial Chancellery and a self-important Slav. The sons of noblemen never pick on you, however. They know that your father has been ennobled by the mantle. However, Diedrich and his retinue soon choose Thomas as their favorite victim. Time and time again, you ask your friend not to pay them any mind, but again and again, Thomas grows angry and snaps at their self-satisfied mockery. It is early morning. The students are busy, flocking to the classroom for the next lesson. You wave Thomas over when you see him. He waves back at you, and then a bucket full of slop splashes over him. Needless to say, it is the work of Diedrich and his entourage. You hear his familiar creaky laughter. The tailor's son stinks. How dare he sit next to decent folk? Thomas clenches his fists. You're dead, Diedrich. He throws himself at Diedrich's haughty entourage like a soldier ready to wage a war. He attacks them first. This is just what they expected, and they are free to retaliate. He barely makes one movement before 4 pairs of hands grab him at once. Diedrich sneers and kicks your friend in the belly. Thomas gasps for air and starts coughing. You stand between them as Diedrich readies another kick. The nobleman's son cocks an eyebrow. Why do you mingle with commoners, he asks. Your father is a noble of the mantle. You ought to be friends with your own kind. You're equals, not the dirt beneath your feet. Behind him, 4 boys hold Thomas down as he struggles furiously. The other students are watching you, frozen in fear. Diedrich haughtily extends a hand to you. He clearly expects you to shake it. What will you do? Well, I don't have, Oh, I like Thomas too much to shake his hand. Turn him over to the teachers. Or I challenge him to a fight. Or I increase my spirituality and remind him that actually, listen, noblemen, parents who've been noble on the mantle still bear a commoner's lot. I think I'm going to turn him over to the teachers, though. I think I like that answer. Tattletale. You fold your arms across your chest and declare that Diedrich and his followers will pay dearly for their insolence. Their parents may be nobles, but they are not yet nobles themselves. Here at school, we are all equals. Diedrich's entourage is about to swarm you too, but the teacher of Imperial Law comes into the room just in time. Everyone immediately returns to their seats. Once the lesson is over, you tell the teacher how Diedrich and his friends have been starting fights and picking on people. They are children of nobles, yet not nobles themselves, which means they are guilty of defying their lot and encouraging other students to do the same. The law teacher furrows his brow when he hears this. He assembles all the students and admonishes them. Any student caught in defiance of his lot will no longer be welcome at the school. The twins are always watching over all of us, and the school will not suffer the presence of any troublemakers who defy their will. The nobleman's sons reluctantly agree, but there's no good reason to risk picking on nobles when the punishment is so high. To say Diedrich is angry at you would be an understatement, but he can no longer hurt you or Thomas. The bullying stops. Yeah! We got relationship 3, buddy. And now I'm bright instead of slow. We'll take it. Boom, boom, boom. Alright, 13. Official teenager. Your theology teacher tells you more about Anazot, and it is more than just the provincial capital. It is the sacred place blessed by the gods. It is where the twin gods' first disciples spilled their blood, and from that blood grew the sacred silver tree. Its enormous foliage hangs over the city. You can see its branches in the sky every day, but you have never approached the trunk of the tree yourself. Today you will be taking your first trip to the Silver Tree. Your class is visiting a service in the great temple by the tree's very roots. Thanks to your theology teacher, you and the other students will witness this landmark of the twins' advent up close. Everyone is excited. Soon you and the other boys enter the slums surrounding the church district of Anazot. The roots are pulsating under your feet. They spread underground all throughout the area. Pathetic, cramped hovels and filthy streets surround the trunk of the tree. They are home to paupers, day laborers, and preachers. The people of the district bow humbly to you and point you toward the temple. They seem at peace despite the abject poverty in which they live. All who live directly beneath the tree are filled with its divine grace, your teacher says. People come here to make peace with the world and their fate in it. Your class is unusually quiet. Everyone is listening to the rustling of the leaves and the underground beating of the roots. The sky above you is obscured by the tree's canopies. You find the temple of the twin gods right next to the tremendous trunk of the tree. It almost seems a part of it. There's a crowd there, pilgrims dressed in traveling clothes, paupers, beggars, common people of the city, and the occasional well-dressed noble. There are arguments amongst some people who have gathered in separate small groups. Many people are wandering around, staring upward at the tree's branches. The tree impresses you with its might and the calm emanating from it. You are filled with the desire to sit down and think of the world, to think of something about yourself, to touch the silver-white bark and hearken to the whispering leaves. You are distracted enough to fall back from the rest of your classmates. You notice a small path. It should take you right next to the trunk. A tall, red-haired woman walks out of the crowd of pilgrims. She is wearing a worn white robe. She is no longer young, but her face is youthful and covered in freckles. Her hands clutch a book. You have never seen this lady pilgrim before, yet she looks at you almost as if she has recognized a lifelong friend. She beckons to you and says her name, Matilda, a preacher from Astynia, what she says next shakes you to your very core. It is commendable to see a young man so keen to learn the teachings of the twins, she says. Yet you will never follow the light of truth within the walls of the temple. Inside you will only find the lies about the lots, the erring words of prophet Isaiah, sanctified by the passage of centuries. Yet anyone who sets out to read the accounts of the twins' own lives knows that they never so much as mention the lots. The red-haired preacher's words frighten you. They clash with everything you've heard from Mother, everything you've been taught at school. The lots are a lie? You freeze in fear. Should you argue with Matilda? Or ask her for more information? Or should you treat her as a madwoman and catch up with your classmates? You suddenly feel a small, warm hand grasp your own. You see a girl next to you. She's just a little older than you, wearing a black dress, threadbare yet almost spotless. Her hair is covered by a handkerchief with only a single golden lock showing. Her brown eyes are burning with rage, her hand pulling you away from the red-haired preacher. You stare in confusion at the young girl, your cheeks flushed by the sudden touch. There is just a bit of color on her cheeks too, and then she starts speaking to you quietly. Don't listen to her. She's dangerous. Come to the temple with me. Only there will you see the truth. You stand there, surrounded by the crowd of praying pilgrims and the sound of shuffling feet, torn between two people you have never seen before, and each of them expects you to follow her. But all the while you hear the whisperings of the wind in the tree's branches. The branches reach out for you, almost as if the tree wishes to speak to you itself. Can you hear its voice? So that's extra willpower. See, if I had had that insight, could have given into the revelation of the tree. So, pay some willpower. You get the matters of the heart. I don't know. I think I'm going to stay with the red-haired pilgrim. I like what she was saying. You shrug, smile sheepishly at the girl, and walk toward the red-haired preacher. This Matilda of Astinia, she speaks too strangely to be ignored. You feel she will be leaving soon anyways. And the temple, surely the temple's not going anywhere. The lady preacher hands her book to you. There are words on the cover. The Lives of the Twins. The book is so heavy and you almost drop it. The crowd around you barely allows for a proper reading. The best you can do is flip through the pages in hopes to glimpse a message or two from it. Matilda's hushed voice comments on each new page. The book was written by the disciples of the twins. When the twin gods descended and brought faith into the world, they walked the lands with them. It is filled with many stories of wonders and battles, as well as records of the twins' own sermons and dialogues. They discuss many things that now guide the living, the fate that awaits us on the shining pillar, the eternal life after true death, the profane evil of magic. Yet Matilda points out something that you cannot help but notice yourself. There is not one mention of the lots in this book. How can this be? You ask her. It is what it is, she responds. The twins never spoke of it. They never left any teachings behind, nothing but their deeds and their own lives in this world. You frown. Then how come we know about the lots now? They exist thanks to Isaiatus, she says. Isaiatus, favored by the gods, the elder's favorite disciple, walked the lands by his side and through all of his hardships until his fatal end in Eterna. They came to be, she explains, when people came to Isaiatus and asked him how they should live. Yet Isaiatus was but a man, and his teachings of the lots were not a divine revelation, but a speculation of his own devising. This feels much tougher than learning prayers. So if the teaching of the lot had not come from the gods, but rather from their student, what does that mean for you? What does it mean for the people? A new faith, the red-haired preacher says with a smile. You think about her words for a long time, as the silver tree whispers above your head, the very tree grown from the blood of the people who walked the land with the younger and the elder. You keep on thinking about it even as you make your way home and into bed. Your conclusions bring you no comfort. If the strange lady preacher was right, then you are supposed to be free to interpret the twins' words yourself, which means that you and only you should be responsible for your life and fate in the hereafter. But who could tell for sure? You cannot fall asleep that night, so they were lying to you all the time? In the morning you still mutter off a prayer and the words of your lot, to work, endure, and suffer, but is it all worth it if the lots don't really exist? Or is it the will of the twins after all? Did they actually speak their will through Isaiatus, and those who defy the will are defying the true order of the world? These questions will remain in your mind for a long time. Hooray! Another day, school day has ended. You are making your way home, still mulling over the things you learned from your teachers. The founding of the empire, the eternal and unshakable rule of a single dynasty, the three estates, each with its own rights. What an odd sort of order the world has, and yet so mysterious. At least it sounds that way when your teacher talks about it. Mother is waiting for you on the porch. She smiles gently when she sees you, and yet her expression still shows great concern. Father left on a trip to several distant Magran towns a few days ago. Since then, Mother has been trying to tell you something, but she seems uncertain. Son, Could you put your things away and come pray with me? You join Mother in a prayer to the twins. She prays with fervent sincerity, her head bowed low, reciting the words of obedience to them and their greater design in a barely audible whisper. You repeat after her, just as she has taught you ever since you were a little boy. When the prayer ends, Mother sighs and turns to you. Duncan, my son, you are 13 now. You'll be grown soon. It's time you learned about certain things that are important to our family. Difficult things. It's about your father and me, about our marriage. You gaze curiously into Mother's eyes. I'm sure you've wondered about this before. Your father is a nobleman of the mantle, so how could he marry a commoner with another man's child? But you see, Duncan, your father, when his first wife, Amelia Elborn, died, it was a painful blow to him. He lost the will to live, lost all purpose. He felt like his own destiny was cut short that day as well. And then he met me. You know the troubles I had in the past? I went to the prefecture as a petitioner to ask them for help, protection, justice. When I was a young girl, I worked in a small shop that sold crockery and dishes. A nobleman took a liking to me. May his name be forever forgotten. The twins know I was humbled and honored his lot to rule, but he took me by force. Mother falls silent, summoning the courage to continue. This is some heavy shit. Gloria is that nobleman's daughter, but he was outraged. How could I have the gall to burden him with a low-born progeny? He turned me out on the streets with that little baby girl that is in my arms. Mother's voice is shaking now. You take her hand tenderly. I had no home, no honor, nowhere to go to, no one to help me. When I went to the prefecture, I didn't really think the judges would help me find justice against my former master. But when Sir Robert heard my plea, his eyes met mine, and I believe that at that very moment, the twins themselves granted him their gift, the gift of their love. Your father told me that there was nothing he could do to make that detestable nobleman marry me, but he would never abandon me and baby Gloria, and if I agreed, he would take me into his own home. Tears were running down Mother's cheeks. And I knew it, my son. I knew how much his honor and reputation would suffer, but caring for me brought him back to life. It's like he experienced another sacrament. He rediscovered his noble purpose, his lot to rule and protect and care for others. But his decision to marry me, he's still paying for it today. Your father had the courage to defy your grandfather, the founder of his bloodline. If only you knew how much he had to endure, my son. If only you knew the despicable rumors we had heard about the Brantes all over Anazot. It was only thanks to the efforts of Sir Gregor that the Brante bloodline managed to hang on to what little remained of its reputation. But now the noble families have all but forgotten about that scandal, thank the twins. Mother falls silent. She looks at you intently. Do you understand what she's telling you? My son, I'm not telling you this just to share the pain of my past. I have no reason to complain. Even Sir Gregor has accepted me through gritted teeth. But you need to understand the heavy burden our family must bear, including our own scandalous marriage and Gloria's foul origin. And Gloria, she can never be a Brante. Even if the elder Brantes agreed, the news would stir up the old scandal in the minds of high society. And if that were to happen, Duncan, they would see even your birth as illegitimate. Mother sighs heavily. What I told you now is not something you have to know, son. You are about to enter adult life. By my lot, I must be humble, and I cannot tell you how to treat your family. But I must ask you a question. Now that you know all this, do you still see Gloria as your sister? I could distance myself. Increases willpower. Well, no, I'm definitely going to accept it. Doesn't really seem a question. Filled with determination, you assure Mother that Gloria is and always will be your sister. You want Gloria to be Brante too, you want her to be part of your family. Who cares what the nobles of Anazat say? Mother beams with quiet joy when she hears this. Oh, Duncan, if only you knew how happy that would make me, to have our family united at last. However, the joy on her face quickly gives way to concern. But I already owe good Sir Robert a debt I can never repay. He's given my daughter so much. A home, an education, his care and advice. The Brante bloodline could suffer so much from Gloria's existence. We shall all just learn to accept her status as it is. Just then you hear Gloria's careful knock at the door of Mother's chambers. Mother, Duncan, I couldn't find you. You happily greet your sister. Yes, she is your sister. No old secrets can ever change that. Mother gives you and Gloria a kiss on the forehead and returns to her prayers. You and your sister walk downstairs together. Mother is alone by her bedside, now thanking the twins with a quiet prayer for the Brante family they have given her. You hope they can hear her. You are 13 now, another theology lesson. Today's sermon is all about the priests and why the clergy is the only one of the 3 estates with the right to interpret the lots and guide the other 2 estates accordingly. Thomas sits next to you, huffing and puffing as he fervently writes down the teacher's every word. But you've heard all this from Mother many times, so you take this moment to daydream a little. Father promised to take you to the capital once your studies are complete. The teacher suddenly casts a stern look around the lecture hall and raises his voice at one of your classmates. A boy by the name of Brian jumps out of his seat. The teacher asks him to repeat what he just said. Brian freezes and this seems to shrink. He tries to muster a reply, but nothing comes out. The class becomes agitated. Someone's about to get punished. The teacher now looms over Brian. The boy's cheeks are flushed and his eyes are covered in tears. You all watch the teacher's iron-bound book as he raises it sharply, about to strike. Brian shrieks and raises a hand in front of him. A sudden flash. The teacher screams and buries his face in his arms. His hair is ablaze and his skin is covered in horrible burns. It was magic. Real magic. Just like in the books about the Magra Rebellion. The class freezes in shock. There is a dull thud as the iron-bound book falls to the floor. Brian's hysterical laughter rends the silence. He stands up from his bench, fire in his eyes and sparks on his fingertips. There are screams now. Students run for the door. The teacher tries to extinguish his burning hair. Brian snaps his fingers, and the book of Isaiahus on the desk turns into pillars of flames. He laughs and raises his arms, and the curtains catch fire. The screams grow louder as the fire howls. Brian's face is tense and violent. His mouth is spewing flames, and his whole body is shaking with laughter. He steps toward the door. You and Thomas glance at each other. He's going to burn the whole school down. Your friend's determination makes you brave. You run behind Brian and knock him off his feet. You both tumble to the floor, even through his clothes, his body sears your flesh. Brian screams, convulses, and grabs Thomas by the shoulders with his burning hands. Thomas howls but stays put, then knocks Brian senseless with several fierce blows to the head. There are servants fussing around the room now. They put out the fire and take away the teacher, his body covered in horrible burns. You and Thomas remain next to Brian, who is lying on the floor, silent. Soon 3 men in black cloaks enter the doors of the school, each bearing an edict sealed with silver, the Inquisition. You and Thomas are told to step away from the witch. They lock Brian's neck in a silver collar and take him away. One of the Inquisitors remains behind to tell the students what happened. That was magic, he explains. The ungodly power that twists the minds of men into savage instruments of murder. Only the sacred shackles of silver can hold it at bay. Only the power of the twins can save us all from its evil grasp. The next day, you are forbidden from ever mentioning Brian's name again. he is no more. Whew. Okay. Well. A great day looms ahead. 100 years ago, Uter Tempest was anointed to rule over the Empire. Blessed by the twins themselves, the Emperor's reign continues into its 2nd century. Celebrations in honor of the Tempest dynasty are held throughout the city, and the school is closed for 2 weeks because of that. On one of these evenings, Father tells everyone that Grandfather is going to bring Stefan back for the holiday. They say families should celebrate the day of anointment together. You could benefit from your elder brother's company. With his noble education, Stefan might be able to teach you how noblemen are supposed to act. Soon, Stefan arrives. He now handles himself differently. When it comes to ordering servants around and ignoring Gloria, he is still Grandfather's double, but he is grown up now and far less haughty to yield. It is a dark winter evening. A damp, cold wind sweeps through the city from the barren lands of Magra. You and Stefan are sitting in the library. He is telling you all about Eterna, the capital of the Empire. It's full of so many wonders. The Imperial Palace, the enormous Temple of the Twins, the Military Academy, the Imperial College. You've read so much about these places, yet he's seen them firsthand. Nathan enters the library, looks concerned. I can't find Gloria. I've looked everywhere. She's not in the attic, nor in the sitting room, not in the kitchen. I heard she wanted to sneak off to the ruins of Char Melanidus' palace. She could be lost in there. You and Stefan exchange looks. Char Melanidus, the rebellious duke. The ruins of his palace are a dangerous place. Some children claim his tainted magic still lingers there, which means you absolutely have to make your way there and back again to prove you are not afraid of a long-dead witch. Your brother tells you to wait. He leaves and soon returns with his sword in his sheath. Get ready, Duncan. We are going to rescue Gloria. She must have gone to the ruins in search of inspiration for another one of her little rhymes. The two of you instruct Nathan to tell your parents you've gone for a walk in the square. You and your elder brother head outside. You are confused by Stefan's actions. He refused to treat Gloria like a human being. So why is he so determined to rescue her? Stefan notices your expression. Are you wondering why I care about Gloria all of a sudden? I can't act in any other way, can I? The law of honor compels me to protect my family. Gloria will never be a Brante. My father still took her into our house, so I must respect his seniority and defend Gloria like she is one of our own. You are Brante too, noble or not, which means it is your duty to aid me. The ruins of Char Melanidus' palace span an entire district. The palace was abandoned centuries ago, and its remnants are overgrown with thick underbrush. The ruined palace is empty, nothing but cold wind blowing over crumbling brickwork. Even the worst scum of the land steer clear of this place. You make your way through the ruins until you spot scattered sheets of paper covered in writing. Your sister's writing. You hear loud laughter coming from behind a dilapidated stone wall nearby. You peel yourself up to peer over it. Gloria is lying on the ground, face down, twitching and sobbing. A gaggle of drunk young thugs surround her, cackling and swinging their arms about. Ah, good morning. It is 1 a.m. here, so good morning. You hear their shouts. Oh, look at the lass sitting there rhyming words together. She thinks she's all noble. But don't you worry, you low-born tot. We're gonna teach you your place. One of the louts spits at Gloria as she lies there. That makes sense. That's, a better time for good morning. Get away from her this instant, you bastards, or I'll spill your guts. They respond with mocking laughter. Stefan draws his sword. The street thugs recoil in fear, but they soon notice that he is the only one armed man against many. He is only one armed man against many. There we go, misread. They start reaching out for sticks and stones. Stay by my side. Don't let them flank me. Stefan's hand shakes, but he looks ready for battle. He is outnumbered. For a moment... yes, it is. This is my first run. I've been playing for about 3 hours now. I'm probably gonna call it quits after this youth chapter ends. But yeah, I basically know nothing other than what I read on the Steam page. So I've been enjoying it so far. It's really sick. I'm really into this strange world that they've built here. It's really fascinating so far. Anyways, what was I? He is outnumbered. For a moment you hesitate. Perhaps it would be better to run for the nearby district and call for guards. Yeah, so far I'm into it. The young thugs are already armed with makeshift weapons. They start approaching you and Stefan cautiously. So let's see, I charge the thugs, follow my brother's orders. Or I call the guards. Let's do this one. We got the willpower for it. Let's spend a little bit of it. Stefan's firm voice fills you with confidence. You follow your noble brother's orders. It takes a moment to grab a stick, and then you are at Stefan's back, angrily swinging at the louts as they try to bring him down. One of the louts lunges at your brother with a stone, but you hit him with the stick and he falls down right at Stefan's feet. His sword flashes. The blade sinks deep into the young man's stomach. He wheezes. Blood starts pouring onto the ground. The thugs freeze. Stefan pulls the sword out, his face an inscrutable mask, and returns to his fighting stance. You are stunned to see Stefan take another man's life so easily and effortlessly, like picking his own teeth. Yeah, my instinct is to turn it off because it's more of you get to really make the choices. And I think once I play through the game and have a good sense of how the game works, mechanically, then I would like to play it through. And it'd probably be fun if I was playing with my friends to just be reading the story and be deciding what the choices are and seeing how the game kind of works. But the game recommended that I play with this option on, so that's what I'm doing. The thugs look like they are about to flee. There is rage and confusion on their faces. They never expected the young nobleman to use that sword. Stefan just scoffs at them. Low-born scum, that's all you are. This is the only language you understand. Good job, brother. Gloria, get up. We're going home. He turns to glance at your sister, giving the enraged thugs just enough time to rush you. You get separated from Stefan. Your back is against the wall now. They hit you hard in the stomach, and then the face, and then the side of the head. Then your mind slips away. When the darkness disperses, you find yourself lying in your bed. Stefan is in the armchair next to you, reading a book. He is alive! It's stat-based, so with it you wouldn't miss it all. If you don't use iron mode, you can also... Yeah, yes, that's true. I have the reloading, so... It's, I can jump back and replay chapters. Although I think for the most part I'm planning to just kind of barrel through, and just sort of let the chips fall where they may as it goes. With a left arm in a sling and a black eye, but still alive. Your head is spinning and you feel nauseous. You try your best to sit up. Stefan looks up from his book. Don't try and get up. You lost a lot of blood. I suppose there were a few thugs too many for a single warrior, even with good backup. Well, I haven't even gotten out of the youth yet, so maybe when I get to be an adult, I'll feel a lot of compulsion to want to reset. I'm impressed. We fought like an army. The noble orders, the commoner obeys, all according to our lots. We defended the family's honor together. You know, brother, the nobleman's lot is also a great burden that few are able to bear. It takes courage, not to fight everything you see, but to do your duty. Each and every decision of a nobleman each and every decision a nobleman makes becomes a part of his family's legacy, flowing in the blood tide forever. Ooh, there we go. Oh my god, this is the most Stefan's got to speak all game. Oh my goodness. La. Did you just want to see all the endings, or like were you wanted to were you trying to play perfectly on your first time through, or why'd you restart so often? This is what I'm trying to wonder. Blah blah. Well, I'm gonna take a drink since nasally Stefan's talking. I think about it often. A noble mustn't act weak. A noble mustn't suffer like people of the lowborn lot. A noble must rule over them wisely. A noble must ensure they have work to do. It's not merely your own lot to have a look after. You have to ensure that 1,000 others can live by their lot as well. And there are so many more matters to take care of. Honor, dignity, tradition. It's tough, but it's what it takes to be a nobleman. Do you understand what I'm talking about? Oh, that I changed the voice up there. Do you understand what I'm saying or talking about? For some reason, the talking about didn't work very well. There's approval in your brother's eyes, the first time in a long while. It was a pleasure to fight side by side, brother. There you go. That's the most talking you've got, like all game stuff. At least it wasn't Gregor. Like, Gregor's... Fuck, I chose the wrong voice for that guy. Before long, the entire city hears how a gang of lowborn thugs assaulted Stefan Brante. Grandfather ensures that the brash young men are found. Some of them are taken into custody as soon as lesser death... as soon as lesser death releases them. Oh, I guess because he stabbed them, right? We killed some of them, so when lesser death releases you, when they respawn, they go right into custody. Grandfather seeks vengeance on those who hurt his favorite grandson. Interesting. Okay, that's good to know. Prefect Elborn, a friend of your family, promises to personally oversee the trial and ensure that justice is served. Stefan and Grandfather decide to stay in Enazot until the trial ends. Grandfather demands true death for every single assailant. You ask Father to explain something. How can a legal court sentence criminals to true death? How can worldly judgment overrule the twins' law? Your words are true, my son. Their law is second to none. Yet the twin gods also made the empire and all its ways. The court of law exists to execute the laws of heaven here in this world. Should the court of law sentence a person to death, the law high above will always enforce it, and so every execution brings true death. The commoners who assaulted Stefan, a born nobleman, have committed a grave offense. There is no doubt about that. And yet, according to the Emperor's decree, even commoners have the right to defend themselves when they are about to face true death. It means that all of us will have to appear at the trial and testify before the court. Evening comes, and Gloria visits your room. She looks crestfallen, and her fingers keep reaching for her long hair. You put away your school books and ask what is bothering her. The trial is tomorrow? I thought I was going to appear there too, as an eyewitness. After all, this whole mess started because of me, but Sir Robert isn't even going to mention that I was there. Can you imagine? He says it would ruin the case. Why am I always in the way? No one ever mentions me. No one has to listen to me. It's like I don't even exist. And I thought Stefan standing up for me finally meant something. Maybe I will become part of the family. But no, everything is back to usual now. Gloria tries her best to hold back the tears, and you do your best to comfort her. Father just needs to keep the family out of trouble. If Sir Robert believes that I only bring trouble, then why did he take me into the house at all? Gloria runs away. You return to your books, but you can't help but get lost in thought. What if they told the court you weren't there either? How would you feel then? There's a knock at the door. It is Father. He closes the door behind him and sits next to you. There's an exhausted look about him. Son, you will be testifying before the court tomorrow. Please remember what I'm about to tell you. Gloria wasn't at the ruins at all. You went there with your brother to inspect this historic site. The lowborn men insulted Stefan first, and then attacked him. Stefan had managed to deal with the assailants on his own by the time the guards intervened. Gloria will cast suspicion on the case. If we mentioned her very existence to the court, the reputation of the family will suffer. Your grandfather will never forgive me if that happens. Do not let me down. We are all counting on you. You recall the night of the fight like it was a moment ago. Gloria sprawled under the feet of those cackling thugs. Her poetry, her greatest treasure, scattered on the ground. She thinks she's noble. Those were the words they spat down at her. Doesn't grandfather mean the same thing when he denies that she's part of the family? But if you do what father tells you, the trial will end quickly. The commoners will face true death for assaulting a noble. If you mention Gloria, things will get complicated and you can't predict how the trial will end. Which is more important to you? What is right or what is just? Well, I don't have the willpower to change father's mind. Let's see, this increases lie to father. Okay. Or support father. Let's see, increases reputation of the family. I don't know. What do you think I should do? Tough calls, tough calls. Should I bother increasing ingenuity again? Drops. Or just support father? I'm kind of tempted to do this one, but it feels kind of bad. Right? Like, why not? Fuck it. You nod in agreement. You will follow the family's plan for the trial to the letter. A faint smile appears on father's fatigued face. Thank you, son. This is an important case for our family, and for me as well. I appreciate your support. The day comes. The trial takes place in the lesser hall of the city prefecture. Sir Elborn himself presides as the judge. You are seated next to Father and Stefan. You testify to the court one after another. You echo your brother's testimony to the letter. The young commoners insulted you as you were both walking by the ruins. Then they assaulted you. Stefan defended you. The lives of the 4 thugs are forfeit. Sir Elborn rises to deliver the sentence. The court of Anazot judges you guilty of assaulting Stefan Brante, a nobleman. All 4 defendants are sentenced to true death by hanging. There is no wind, but you feel a gust sweep through the hall. The defendants turn pale. Their mothers are bawling and crying. Everyone in the court feels the dreadful power of the law, and it is stern and just. The very power has been invoked by this sentence, and by that very sentence, the lives of the 4 young men are literally forfeit for all eternity. The gallows await. Stefan and grandfather stand in the front row. The wood creaks. The trapdoors open under the young men's feet. They dangle in the air, wheezing and reaching out for support with their feet in their final moments. Father lets out an inaudible sigh of relief. It is all over for now. When Gloria comes back home the day after, she refuses to eat dinner and locks herself in her room. Before she leaves, however, you notice a scratch on her face, and her hair is disheveled. You go to her room and knock at the door, but she will not open. Then she finally replies, "She's already gone to bed, and you should leave." Did you do the right thing during the trial? Your sister is still being bullied. No one knows she has a family to defend her, and Gloria does not want to be defended now. Those 4 commoners saw no mercy. Their lives ended for assaulting a nobleman. What did you seek to prove with this, and to whom? What was it worth in the end? Ooh, tough questions. Maybe it wasn't the right call. Maybe I should have done the right thing and stood up for Gloria. Maybe moving along. Alright, we'll play a little bit more. Not quite ready to call it quits for the night yet. Stefan leaves soon after the trial, alone. Grandfather does not go with him. For the first time in a long while, he lingers in the house for more than a fortnight. Father says Sir Gregor is ill and needs a rest. Several months go by, and it becomes clear that Grandfather will not recover. The eldest Brante is almost bedridden now. On some days he has trouble recognizing people. When he means to address you or Nathan, he calls you Robert, your father's name. When he does get out of bed, the house grows empty. The servants hide. Mother locks herself in her chambers. You and Nathan run outside or hide quietly in the rooms. If Grandfather sees anyone in the hallway, he begins lamenting.
Oh, no one heeds the lots any longer. Any harlot with a child can marry a noble these days. Children have no respect. His son betrayed him and let him down.
And oh, how the Brante family has lost its honor. Again and again you hear Grandfather knocking at Mother's door, screaming that it is all her fault. He blames her for ruining his chance to find bliss in the hereafter. He blames her for dooming him to suffer at the foot of the pillar. You overhear your parents talking one night. Mother begs Father to move Sir Gregor to his old home and spare the children his decline. Father refuses her outright. It is late at night. The hot, dry winds are coming. The house is empty save you. Nathan, Gloria, Mother, and Grandfather in his bed. Father has left for the capital on business. You are engrossed in the history of the Empire, snapping only out of your reverie only when the clock strikes midnight. You blow out the candles and get ready for bed. You hear the shuffling of heavy feet outside your door. You see light in the hallway. Grandfather. What could he want in the middle of the night? You peek into the hallway once he has passed. Grandfather's figure sways as he heads for the door to Mother's chamber. He opens the door and walks in. You hear him saying something quietly. Your unease is stronger than your fear now. You sneak closer to hear his words.
You foul commoner. I have to cleanse my sins. I have to save my soul. You are my greatest sin. You are what you have done to Robert. Sorry, you and what you have done to Robert and this family. I should have put a stop to this marriage. I should have stopped Robert from tainting this house by your presence. Why? Oh, why didn't I do it?
Please, Sir Brante, I beg of you.
Silence! You will do my bidding. Fire. Fire will cleanse all low-born filth from this place. Fire, fire, and flame will free Robert from this disgrace. This is for my son's sake. For my son's sake. For my sake. I need to eradicate this low-born filth. The twins. They are calling for me now. I can feel it. I can feel it.
I beg of you. Please have mercy. Mother begins to cry. You run into the room, unable to stay out of this any longer. Grandfather's gaunt figure looms over Mother's bed, a lit oil lamp in his hand. Mother is sprawled out on the bed, crying. Please, just let me warn the children. I beg of you, Sir Brante. Your steps are loud enough to be heard, and Grandfather turns to look at you.
Stay out of this, Duncan. Be useful for once. worldly matters concern me no longer. I see only my sins now, and a sinner I am. A sinner. The twins, they forgive no one. They will judge me by the pillar. I must do something. I don't want to suffer for all eternity. Go away.
Mother is crying. Grandfather is still looming over the bed, driven to madness. His hand shakes as it clutches the oil lamp. His eyes shine in the dark. He truly believes this has to be done. You are suddenly torn. What if he's right? What if this is the only way for his soul to find salvation? There's no going back now. You have but a moment to act. Well, apparently I don't have the will to stop Grandfather. Unfortunately. Let it all happen as Grandfather wishes. Let's see. I increase ingenuity, spirituality, and lose a wealth. Or increase nobility, ingenuity, spirituality. So for a death, I get an extra spirituality and a nobility. Interesting. All the bad outcomes? What do you mean? Other than that one time when I did the court thing, that wasn't that bad. Should I do this? Is this a bad outcome? I don't know. I mean, it's a death. It gives me extra bunch of shit. Let's try it. I don't know, that sounds crazy though. The only good one is to stop the Grandfather. Yeah, I don't have willpower for that, dude. So I'm just deciding if I want to die and get for the extra stats, you know? Nah, I've been doing... Ah, well, I'll just try to save my siblings. You turn around and run for your brother and sister. Grandfather's prayers and mother's sobbing drive you to run faster. You wake up Nathan and Gloria and lead them out of their rooms and the house without any explanation. You hear mother's shrill cry of despair from the porch. A second-floor window shatters. A body in a nightgown drops to the ground. Then another cry of despair, an old man's cry. You cover your brother's eyes to hide the sight from him. The second floor of the estate is caught fire. Gloria runs for the neighbors. You take Nathan's hand and go to Thomas's house. Neighbors and servants flock to the house to put out the fire. Together you manage to extinguish the flames before the first floor is engulfed. The second floor, however, has been reduced to ash. You watch Mother's body turn to dust and fly away with the sparks. Nathan is crying. Gloria hugs him and says that everything is fine. Mother will return soon, reborn. Thomas's family gives you refuge for the night. His charred body is taken to the family crypt in the morning. Gregor Brante has died his true death. You go there to look at him. His face is covered by the cloth, hiding its expression. Did Gregor Brante finally find solace at the pillar among the flames in his final living moments? Or did he die as he lived, an embittered soul driven mad because he could never truly live by his lot? Either way, life has changed. His burden no longer weighs heavily upon your family. For a moment you are overcome with rage. Hot tears start rolling down your cheeks. This is it. You'll never be able to prove anything to him now. All your future triumphs, all your words of defiance, Grandfather will never hear them. He will never see you grow up. You hear a heavy door clang in the corner of the crypt. Out comes Mother, wrapped in a black cape. She is reborn. She looks around in surprise as she leaves the cold stone walls behind, then finally notices you. My son, Nathan. Gloria, what happened to them? You briskly wipe your face and comfort her. No one else died that night. It is hard to speak, like something is clutching at your throat. When Mother sees Grandfather's charred remains, she closes her eyes with a deep sigh, and then shakes so violently she falls to her knees. She starts whispering something. You recognize it. It is a prayer of gratitude to the twins. When she is done, she briskly wipes her face like you did. She looks younger now. Her eyes sparkle. She smiles so brightly and so sincerely. You have not seen her like this for a long time. Mother comes closer and pats you on the head, fondly and gently. You have rescued your brother and sister, saved them from a lesser death. Thank you, my son. Please remember this. None of this is your fault. This is my final life, and I promise to live it in joy. You hear the snorting of horses outside. Father is back from Eterna. Bum 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 bum. Your grandfather Sir Gregor Brante left this world forever to meet the twin gods. The night of Grandfather's death shook your family to the core. Yet no matter how it happened, your grandfather, Gregor Brante, is dead and will never return. He was a fearful shadow looming over the rest of the family, the Brante patriarch exerting his influence on all the lives below him, and all of you will remember him forever. Father is the new patriarch of the family now, yet he cannot bring himself to sit at the head of the table where Sir Gregor used to be preside. Stefan locks himself away in Grandfather's bedroom every day. He will not talk to anyone. Gloria and Nathan still jump at every sound that so much resembles the knocking of his walking stick. Mother spends all day in prayer at the temple. And yet the house has become calm and quiet with his passing. But there is one more thing that must be done. The final farewell. It weighs heavily upon your soul. The day comes to pay your final respects. Father goes to the tomb alone, save for Stefan, Nathan, and you. Mother and Gloria stay at home. Only nobles or those who may become nobles may join this ritual. There is a solemn silence as you walk to the crypt. Father is the one who breaks the silence when you finally reach the door of the family crypt. Your father built this crypt, and now he will be the first Brante to remain here in body forever. The first ever noble in our family. It is our duty now. It is our duty now hold to the sacred of flowing blood for Sir Gregor. It is our duty now to hold to the sacred. I feel like that's missing a word there. We will honor his legacy and join him as the founder of noble Brante dynasty. Thank you so much for the follow, by the way. Zatio904. I really definitely appreciate that. I get to do this as well. Oops. Trying to do that. Hopefully that changed that. There we go. Stairs carved of white stone lead you downward. Deep in the gloom of the crypt, atop a pedestal, you see the sarcophagus that holds up Grandfather's body. Father takes a moment to compose himself before paying his final respects. Gregor Brante, my father, brought our family into nobility through his unshakable will. He was a judge and a loyal servant to the Empire. He lived his life as if he had been born a noble and never strayed from the path he had chosen. He sought to make the Brante family ennobled by the sword, so that our children's children might be of noble birth. The twins know I abided by my father's words all my life, even if I could not obey him every time. Father lets out a bitter chuckle as he says this. Stefan glares at Father, then turns to glare at Nathan at you. After all, the two of you were born of father's shameful decision to marry a commoner. All of you remember his disastrous passing. He did not die the true death he deserved. Yet we all must know that he fought for the future he believed in, to the very end. And he would be proud to see his family bid him farewell with this sacrament of the nobility. Stefan still glares at father sullenly. His fingers remain clutched around grandfather's sword. Nathan barely pays attention to the words. He looks around with unease, his arms folded around his chest. Father reaches into his jacket and pulls out a slender dagger, thin and sharp. He takes off his gloves. Watch me carefully, my sons. Make a small cut on the palm of your hand, and let your blood flow into this duct on the wall of the crypt. It will join your grandfather's blood here and flow forever. Then ancestor and progeny will become as one. We shall enter our family's blood tide and receive grandfather's final blessing. For his blood flows first in our blood tide. He will respond to you. You are part of him, and he is part of you. With a quick motion, Father slices his hand and holds the bleeding cut above a small opening in the wall. Then he hands the dagger to Stefan. Stefan cuts his hand without hesitation, and does as Father did. You receive the dagger next. The dagger's handle feels warm. You hesitate for a moment as you look at the palm of your hand. If you participate in this ritual, you will enter the Brante blood tide. You, a low-born child, a child who is still a commoner. Are you ready to claim your legacy as a descendant of the nobleman Gregor Brante? The eyes of your father and brother are upon you. Nathan, the youngest brother, will follow your example. You can be certain of this. Well, I mean, I'm definitely going to bleed. Oh yeah, I don't have enough nobility to ask for my grandfather's blessing. But I did do the nobleman's sacrifice, so... Yeah. This is what I need to do. Okay, good. Perfect. I skipped it. You remember that fateful day when you were 8, the day when you tried to choose a different lot for yourself. You violated the ritual in the temple. You kissed the sword, and against all odds, you said you had the right to be a nobleman. And now you must confirm this right. You must join the Brante blood tide. You grasp the dagger firmly, then hold the blade to your skin and quickly drag it across your palm. Drops of your blood fall into the duct, flowing further into the crypt as they combine with the blood of your father and brother. The fresh wounds burns on your hand. Fresh wound burns on your hand. Okay. I swear I know how to read, guys. I promise. What are you doing, Duncan? Why did you have to take these two along, Father? The ritual is for nobles, and you two aren't even noblemen. His eyes met Father's stern gaze. No one is to interrupt the sacrament. Indignant as he is, Stefan falls silent, and you hand the dagger to Nathan. Your younger brother hesitates. Father offers him help, but Nathan shakes his head. Finally, he makes a cut, and Nathan's blood joins yours in the duct of the crypt. The deed is done. It is time to close the sarcophagus. The lid falls into place with a heavy, resonant thud. Then suddenly, you all freeze as each of you hears your late grandfather speak to you. His voice is loud as it rings in the depths of the crypt, and yet he speaks to each of you separately.
So, you think yourself my descendant, son of a low-born woman? Very well. Time will tell how much nobility you have within. But know this. I am your ancestor. You are my flesh and blood. I will be watching you always, and my shadow will follow you forever. Do not let me down, boy.
Grandfather's voice falls silent. You glance at your father and brothers, astonished, save for Stefan. Everyone else is dumbfounded as well. The ritual is complete. Stefan reverently kisses the grip of grandfather's sword and places it in the alcove above the sarcophagus. Once all is done, you leave the crypt together. Cool, fresh wind blows in your face as you return to the surface. Stefan storms off to the carriage, fuming. Father stops halfway to the carriage and hugs Nathan you briefly. Now your blood belongs to the dynasty of Sir Gregor Brante as well. Woohoo! Yeah, Blood Tide. We did it. Alright. Well, it's almost 2 a.m. and I think I'm gonna call it quits here. Thanks for the follow. I appreciate that. I'm gonna come back and keep playing my little blind playthrough here. I wanted to finish the youth chapter, but I have to work in the morning, so I can't stay up too late. So yeah, thanks for coming by. Yeah, maybe. I guess it's pretty early for you, so you know, next time I'm streaming late at night, maybe I'll see you around. But I appreciate that, guys.